Good morning. Welcome in to Hurrdat Sports Radio, AM 590 ESPN Omaha, ESPN Tri-Cities. We are live on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla, and we are live at the Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill. What's going on, man?
I'm just trying to make it. How about you?
Oh,
I don't love my audio, but it's okay.
You know what?
Just a day.
Shane, let's try and figure that out. I don't know what's happening.
No, it's probably me.
It's in your headset?
Yeah.
Okay, that's all right.
I mean, there's a 99.4% chance it's a me thing.
User error type situation here.
100%.
That's fair.
I already know what Shane's going to say.
Oh, come on, Shane.
What? I do the same thing every day.
It's the same thing as yesterday.
Yeah.
The same thing as yesterday. That's all right.
I'm very, very upset with myself that I forgot my gift for Shane this morning.
You know, it's all right.
I live close enough where I'm going to.
Yeah, you can bop over and come right back.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that works.
Yeah. So I dropped off that wallet yesterday that was found in the parking lot. Actually went to the house.
Yeah, made the trip.
And I'm sure it's awkward, right?
Oh, yeah.
Random brother just knocking on the door at 10:50 in the morning or whatever.
In Papillion. La Vista.
Didn't feel all that appreciated.
Yeah.
Where'd you find it? I was in the parking lot. I've got a studio right there. Figured you might need it. You know, you wanted to go to the count it. It's all there. No, I didn't. But it was like, okay.
Yeah, a little appreciation would be nice.
Yep. Okay. Close the door. Holler at your boy.
Cool. Yeah.
Yep.
Listen.
I mean, is that a normal? Like, if somebody found, Googled, right? Let's see if we can find this.
Yeah,
person.
I tried to find them on Facebook.
Yeah, so and then it was just like, well, I have the address. That would be awkward, and I wanted to just put it in the mailbox, but it's a cluster.
Yeah. Oh, gotcha. Right.
So I was like, might defeat the purpose.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, just
let's show a little appreciation here.
It's all good. I don't need a pound of flesh. I just thought it was a very interesting delivery.
I would probably be startled up front because people don't normally come to your door unprompted anymore. That's not really a thing people do.
Well, it sounded like there was Ravi type a dog contingency there.
Oh, okay, sure. Yeah.
I mean, at least a minimum of 2, perhaps 3.
Yeah. We're rocking the 3, so that's
barks.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, no, but listen,
and a little girl unfortunately just got bit up the street.
Oh no!
Unlike Q.
Yeah.
Did you see that story?
Mm-mm.
That was wild.
It
was some sort of Mastiff mix, but the mom was kind of like hiding out from the police because she wasn't supposed to have custody or be around her daughter. I don't want to be inaccurate.
A little awkward. Makes
yeah.
Things weird.
So Humane Society put it down immediately.
Oh, that's too bad.
Yeah. Tough.
Yeah. I don't like that. That's not a good way to start the show with a dead dog. Don't love that.
Wow. Not how's the 4-year-old that got her head bit? Like, really?
I mean, we all know where my priorities are.
Pets. Wow. Right. Tough Friday already.
Dogs over children.
Shane, I forget. I'm gonna try to run home and get it.
You got to hang out for a second.
Shane. I live close enough.
So
I left it in the grocery bag for you.
But it's in the fridge. It's not like just in the grocery bag, right?
Correct.
Okay, that's good because we might have a problem there.
Correct.
You don't just want to leave lunch meat out.
No, and the only thing I opened the fridge for this morning was bottled water.
You know, super weird. This is not related to anything, but I'm just trying to delay my anger for a little bit longer.
So did you woke up mad too?
Oh yeah,
really?
I think madder than I went to bed.
You got it. So there are some times, and I've had to manage this over the years.
Yeah.
Sometimes it just happens.
Yeah.
So maybe you just have to get it out of your system.
That's fine. We will.
Wow.
You know, I spent the last 22 hours listening to asinine arguments about Bo Jackson and his greatness, and they all boil down to basically one or two things. Number one is, but we saw it with our own eyes. Great. If the eye test isn't backed up by production, it means diddly.
Bo?
Or Jackson.
Squat.
Like, the eye test is great. It is one part of an equation. If you don't have the rest of the equation, guess what? You don't have an answer.
That thing wet.
So if you're going just on eye test, and that's all people can throw at me because the numbers are not there, then you're already wrong if you're talking about Bo Jackson the way we talk about him. That's number one. Number two is I'm supposed to give this guy credit for choosing to be a part-time football player. I'm supposed to give him extra credit. Like, listen, great athlete, really impressive. But we're going to act like Deion Sanders doesn't exist. We're going to act like Kyler Murray wasn't drafted in the top 10 of both leagues in the first round. This is not unprecedented. We're going to act like Jackie Robinson wasn't a four-sport athlete at UCLA. We're just going to pretend like that didn't happen. We're going to act like Bob Gibson didn't play professional basketball and professional baseball. We're just going to pretend like none of that existed.
Isn't there a difference between...
I'm not listening to you right now, Shane.
I mean,
don't
really,
start right now, Shane.
Really?
I'm not listening to you right now, Shane.
We were
You asked me the same question last year.
Yes, and my man Boyce, because he practically babysits my grocery excursions. And he goes, this seemed kind of more like a midsummer topic. And in my head,
it's Lance's fault.
I don't know how it took off the way it did. I did think Brunts had a fantastic response on social media when he asked the question about stories you would hear about an athlete that you absolutely would think would be true, no matter how outlandish it sounded. And I liked his spin on it.
I appreciated that was the place that he took it, because that's what Bo Jackson is. He's a mythological creature. Okay.
Lord. Oh, Lord.
No, because listen, the other thing that I heard over and over was just imagine. You know what I don't have to imagine? Players that actually produced. Players that actually did something in their professional career.
Oh, man.
I don't have to imagine that because it's there on film and in stats. You know what's not there with Bo? A 39th professional game. I finally agreed with Lance yesterday. I go, you know what? I will give it to you. He is the best player of all time that didn't play 40 NFL games. GOAT.
Okay.
I'm just saying, every single argument was basically, well, what if? Imagine if he had chosen, and then imagine if he had chosen not to play football part-time, which is not my problem, by the way. I didn't make that choice for him.
Uh-huh.
It's not like we're talking about guys from the Negro Leagues that weren't given the opportunity.
Oh, Lord.
No, wait. There's a difference between, you're talking about Cool Papa Bell, right? And you're like, oh, man, he was a contemporary of this guy and whoever, right? He didn't get an opportunity to play. Bo was just like, nah, football is a hobby. You know, I have football guys who are like, hey, availability is the best ability. They're like, oh, but what if Bo played football full time? I was like, we don't know. He chose not to do that. And then, out of the same side of their mouth, they're like, oh, but imagine if he hadn't gotten hurt. So I'm supposed to believe this guy that could only last 38 NFL games playing part-time would have lasted an entire career playing full-time?
Get my nuts.
I'm supposed to believe that if he had played more football, he would have gotten injured? That's the thing I'm supposed to believe.
Well, I just...
As an adult in the year 2024 of our Lord. And then somebody's throwing at me, oh, so I bet you don't like Gale Sayers either. Guess what? Gale Sayers, who is the poster child for a career ruined by injuries, played almost twice as many games as Bo Jackson.
So the DJ can't spin. I guess not.
So if somebody can give me a real argument outside of, I saw it with my own eyes. And here's what they go, like, greatest athlete of all time. This is what people tell me. Mike Sautter said it. I had Mark Knudsen from Colorado that we talked to sometimes said it. Okay? Listen, that's the thing you go to when you have no resume to back up his career. That's what you go to, because we saw a thing that we can't put into words because the production doesn't match what we think we saw. And so you go, greatest athlete of all time. You know who we don't have to say that about? Michael Jordan. You know why? Because he produced. Michael Jordan might be the greatest athlete of all time. The dude didn't play baseball for 15 years and then was functional at a AA level. That's unreal. Okay? Like, guys Wilt Chamberlain might be the greatest athlete of all time. We don't talk about him like that. You know why? Because he scored 100 points in an NBA basketball game. That's what we talk about. We only go to greatest athlete of all time when they didn't actually live up to their athletic potential. That's the only thing we have left. Greatest athlete of all time. Cool. You know who we don't talk about greatest athlete of all time? Deion Sanders, because he's the best cover corner that ever lived. Oh, and he had a longer baseball career than Bo Jackson, by the way. That's why we don't talk about Deion Sanders as greatest athlete of all time, because he actually had a career. That's where we're at with Bo Jackson. That's the last vestige of an argument.
What's up, Art? Good morning.
Yeah, I think so too. But
Yes, Art agrees with me.
Still, yeah, you know.
Oh, yeah, you know.
Do you know why I woke up in a fantastic mood?
Because you didn't deal with this on Twitter yesterday?
No, because
dang right.
my man, my guy, silenced the critics at least momentarily last night with an outstanding performance on the bump. One Drew Christo.
Had a good game. 5 innings.
So I
almost got to 69 pitches.
So that's
like the Bo Jackson of good starts. Like, not quite as long as we would have liked to see.
I love it. This how I just want to know
like
every segment. Can you weave in? If I tell you how nice the weather is,
absolutely.
Can you weave in a Bo Jackson reference?
Absolutely. Well,
hey, district basketball starts. Hey man, I bet Bo could come back and play on a bad hit. Ravi, stop. No, because so. Again, sometimes I occasionally will look at message boards, right? And I wanted to
do that. It's bad for your
health. I know, but it's fine. Like I don't get too over the top. And there's a guy on there who I'm pretty sure he knows baseball well, right? Like you can tell he has some insight. So I said something the other day about building his innings back up. I immediately came back. No. It's awful and early in the spring and this, that, and the other. And because I said, I think it has more to do about getting him back fully healthy.
Sure.
And eating up the innings because obviously I had talked to you were here that morning, right? When I was asking about Drew on the phone. So I let it ride. I was like, I don't want to go back and forth and air people's physical business, right?
Yeah.
And I was tempted last night, but it's only one game, so I was like, I don't want to have to come back and own that later on.
Yeah,
and I'm very careful with that, right? Like
clearly, so am I.
I'll lay in the cut for a long time. So, but I was very happy because Grand Canyon is a good offensive baseball team.
Yeah.
So I was tickled with Drew.
Crystal was out there. He had a nice performance. No earned runs, 1 walk, 4 Ks.
Yeah, and I think sometimes I don't know if people were. And we got 3 more games to go. I don't know if everybody was excited about Nebraska being able to win the series.
Yeah, I mean, we talked to Brunts yesterday, and he talked about how
it would be good if they won.
They need to win the series to kind of be in the place they want to be at. They need to win this one and probably College of Charleston as well to kind of overcome the 2-1 or the 1-2 start in Texas there.
And I think Timmerman's starting to trend a little bit.
Yeah.
As a pup.
Well, and the other thing that I liked about Christo's performance was it was economical, right? 5 innings, 69 pitches.
And that's about where you wanted him with. Yeah.
Yes. You're talking about like 15 pitches an inning. Like that's a nice spot to be in. It's not realistic to probably expect much less than that per inning, especially with kind of a power guy. So good. I mean, that's really, really, I almost tweeted out last night, but I was too busy arguing with people.
I got to go back to your timeline.
It's a mess.
Is it?
It is a dumpster fire.
So let's get over that.
It is a
See, that's who you need to talk to. You need to talk to Kim.
It's a
she likes you. She'll calm down.
It is a
We're not playing with desperation, unlike other teams in Nebraska.
Oh.
It's a Chernobyl wasteland in my mentions.
Did I tell you what Asian Wyatt told me to tell you yesterday?
No.
He said say Donna Summer backwards. Did I tell you that?
Yeah, you did.
Simmer
down. Yeah.
What does that mean?
Not gonna happen.
Okay,
Speaking of Asian Wyatt, we've got that's his moniker, not mine, just for the record. On the Warhorse Sportsbook Hotline, we've got Wyatt, who apparently has some feelings about Bo. What's going on, Wyatt?
And his little cute daughter. What's up, Wyatt?
Tough hang.
I got my tough hang here with me. So,
but Wyatt, did you catch Ravi's little deal where I was talking about the 4-year-old who was bitten by the dog, and I said, they had to put the dog down, and he goes, oh man, that sucks. Like, I don't want to start the morning. I was like, Ravi, a 4-year-old suffered a fairly severe bite to the head. Like, And I could only go back to the kids being a tough hang thing.
Well, listen, obviously,
and you called right on cue.
Obviously, I don't want the kid to be injured, but you didn't lead with like, oh, a child was killed by a dog, so I assume she was okay.
Yeah, but you never know.
I don't know. What I do know, see, I feel bad for the dog because usually in that situation, I've had Mastiffs before. Mastiffs are very good dogs.
It's some sort of mix. I got to read.
So I'd have to look back into it, but I'm a firm believer of there's no bad dogs, there's bad owners.
Oh,
well, we have a Mastiff at home here, and I see both. Like I got little ones, and we used to foster for a dog rescue too. So I see both sides.
Hey, so Wyatt, if you, like, you know me, right? I have a couple dogs. I've had several dogs. Do you realize I was not picked for a dog adoption? What is wrong with me?
How many do you have right now?
2.
Oh yeah, usually they'll give you the third,
and it's another Frenchie.
It's tough.
Why should I have been hurt? You seem very hurt right now.
I don't want to get into your feels right now.
Oh yeah, okay. Yeah, Ravi's emotional.
I'll say I'm in my feels enough for everybody this morning. So Wyatt, what do you got for
What do you got for me, Wyatt?
I just want to know, because this is the Ravi hates your favorite thing show, and because you think I just want to know what else does Ravi think is overrated? Because Bo Jackson's overrated, Magic Johnson's overrated.
Time out. Ravi did not say Magic Johnson was overrated.
I remember a conversation we had.
I said
I will. You'll have to leave.
I said I personally like Larry Board over Magic Johnson, but I don't think Magic Johnson's overrated.
Okay.
My personal preference for their game,
that's fine,
is I take Larry over Magic.
Okay.
But we're talking about top like 5, 6, 7 guys of all time. Like we're not. That's all.
We're not. Wyatt, I don't know what you're trying to do to me.
I saw DB get lightheaded there for a minute. I thought he was going to fall over in his chair. No, I personally prefer Larry Bird's game over Magic Johnson's. That's all.
Okay.
I just love how Ravi always goes to the argument because he goes, "Oh, Bo Jackson climbs up a wall and everybody loses their mind." And Magic Johnson played center one time and everybody loses their mind. So.
I do think that's an overrated part of what like it's part of the mythology, right? His career is better than that one moment. But it'd be like if he stopped playing basketball after 3 years, and they'll be like, "But remember that one time he played center?"
Guess who will never be overrated with Ravi, Wyatt?
Who's that?
One Doug McDermott.
No, but I know what Doug McDermott is as a pro.
Oh, she thought that was funny too. Let's go.
I know what Doug McDermott is as a pro, though. Like I get it.
Oh, she sounds so
right?
Cute. Well, I got to say this before we get to Out of Breath Brian real quick. So, do you know what we had in the Benning household for dinner last night?
What was that?
Some crab rangoon, some chicken egg rolls, and some homemade beef and rice noodles.
Nice.
So two of those 3 things were store bought, and they were very subpar. I'm gonna go back to making our own egg rolls.
Nice. I just want to hold on. All right, we got a situation going on.
All right, call me back.
Seems like Wyatt's kids shows violence this morning too.
Yeah, she went from laughing. It was probably the little one.
I'll let you bring Out of Breath Brian in. I know he doesn't want to talk to me. So.
Oh, he might.
Well, he might want to talk to me, but
let's go to my man. He was abruptly cut short
on the
yesterday on the War Horse hotline. Let's go to my man Out of Breath Brian. Brian, do we need everybody to calm down? I need everybody to calm down.
Hold on. I'm just going to touch my respirator real quick. Okay. Damon.
Yes, sir.
I've known you for a while,
Yes, sir.
I know you get a little hot-headed sometimes.
A long time. Yeah.
You got a brain in that head.
Yeah.
Now, I listen to Ravi a lot of times. Sound like a upset girlfriend. A lot about the athletes. He's talking about the man is mythical. His legend is mythical. I'm asking this. Do you have eyeballs in them glasses? Because those eyeballs are real. They ain't mythical. You saw what he did on the field. So what are you talking about? Your argument, like I said yesterday, your argument is he's mythical. That's stupid because he's in the flesh and you can see him. Okay? Okay, now let's go to your stats, what you like to always go to, which is numbers. Barry Sanders, the best running back of all time, is what y'all consider him. I've heard it on the radio station. His yard per carry in the NFL is 5 yards per carry. Bo Jackson, with his limited amount of touches playing football halftime, only managed 5.4 yards per carry. How is that since he's so overrated? Answer that. That's numbers, Ravi. You can't ignore numbers, which you love so much. Okay,
we're gonna ignore. No, hold on, Brian.
No, wait, I'm done. Almost. Your argument, basically, what I'm saying is half of your arguments are emotional and on feelings. Feelings don't matter. Stats matter to you eventually when it comes to your arguments. So you can't lie about it because it's all on the radio. Now, go ahead and go.
Okay, so we're talking about numbers, right? We're going to convenently ignore the number of minimum carries in the NFL to actually qualify for that 5.4.
No, we're not going with that. We're going with
it doesn't have to play. Okay,
Damon,
all right.
Hey, Damon.
All right. Yes.
No, wait. When you look at your running back, do you look at yards per carry, or do you actually worry about the total yard? Because I think I've heard you guys say yards
I'm a big YPC guy. I'm a big yards per carry guy.
Okay, do the math. 10 yards. Okay, if you get more than 3 yards per carry, you're doing good. The man got 5.4 yards per carry, which is better than the best running back of all time. That's numbers. It don't matter the amount of touches, it's the yards per carry. Don't try to come up here with this many times as he got or limited amount of time. And the limited amount of time that he got, he's proven that he is better than you or what you're trying to say. The man is not mythical.
I'll give you this, Brian. He is better at football than I am. You're correct. Thank you for the call. Appreciate that.
There you go.
He is better at football than me. You got me there. Now, listen, if you want to take away minimum qualifications, all these numbers get wonky in a hurry. You have one guy. I mean, you have one guy go for 80 yards at one time. Like, oh, greatest YPC of all time. What are we doing here? The minimums are there for a reason because small sample sizes skew numbers.
Thank you, dear baby Jesus.
That's just common damn sense. What are we doing here? He's talking about my feelings. The only thing people have to defend Bo Jackson is how they feel about seeing him. That's it.
With arms wide open.
That is the only thing.
Well, I just heard.
That is the only thing. Creed might calm me down. Give me a little Creed here.
And Schaefer tweeted, God, I missed that guy.
I'm just saying.
Did you read his tweet?
I didn't.
It'll make you feel better.
This is nonsense.
In typical Mike
this
J.
is
Schaefer
nonsense.
Snark fashion.
This is ridiculous. I'll set up the show coming up
So,
next.
Shane, I asked yesterday or last week when Schaefer was coming back, and all you guys told me was not for a long time.
Yeah, a while. That's all he told us.
Oh, we gotta fix that.
I mean, you talk to Schaefer. You see what you could do.
Well, I don't want to bug a dad. Well, I'll be texting him, though.
We'll set up the show coming next. Welcome back to Hurrdat Sports Radio here on AM 590, ESPN Omaha, ESPN Tri-Cities. We're live on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube as well. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla.
What up?
We are choosing violence again this morning.
I was trying to choose Drew Christo, but that's okay.
I'm not having it. Just in case anybody's wondering.
See what happens? I go away, and I just lose all control.
Yep.
I'm just that.
In case anybody was wondering, Devin Achane, 7.8 yards per carry for his career so far. So is he better than Bo Jackson? 7.8 is a lot more than 5.4, isn't it? That's almost 2.5 yards more per carry.
Oh, Lord.
I mean, 7.8, that's pretty good, right? Oh, you mean he doesn't have enough carries to qualify for that?
I know you're not a touchy-feely guy.
Okay, that's all right. I guess I will.
But my man, Boyce, he'd like to know if you did. I think he may want me to give you a hug.
I'll dap some people up. I'll give hugs. I don't care.
Dap.
No, I'll hug. I'll do the bro hug.
The lean in.
I'll hug up.
He needs, although she's kind of grown now. I think she's like a teenager now.
I'm just saying Xavier Betts has more yards per carry than Lawrence Phillips. You taking Xavier Betts as a running back over Lawrence Phillips?
Wow.
I'm just saying, if we're not going to worry about sample sizes.
See?
No. If we're not going to worry about sample sizes here, DB, then things get pretty wonky in a GD hurry.
Wow.
This is why sample sizes matter, because I can make this a ridiculous argument real fast. Also, when I say he's a mythological creature, the lore around him is mythological.
Like Cerebus?
Right? Like the lore around Bo Jackson is mythological.
I get it.
Yeah, well, Brian doesn't, apparently.
What, like he's Zeus or something?
Save
yeah,
it.
You nailed it.
Zip it, Marty. I get it. Like,
I don't care if you're little Shane. I'll fight you. I don't like. It doesn't matter to me.
I like turtles.
Coming up on the show today, We do have a plan. I don't know if we're going to get to any of it, but we do have a plan.
You know. I'm just telling you right now.
Yeah.
You better prepare yourself for Sautter, because
Sauter's going to come in hot.
He's a child.
Yeah,
he's gonna he will clap back.
Yeah, that's fine. He's going to clap
and he's
back.
going to push buttons.
He's going to clap back with greatest athlete of all time. I'll be like, okay, cool. That's what we go
but
to.
His little girl's not feeling well, so maybe he's a little softened.
And
we got districts.
We'll see. He's busy. We'll see what happens. Coming up on the show today, we got Adam McClintock, college football professor from Matrix Analytical. I want to talk a little bit about some of the later cycle college coaching hires. Deshaun Foster, Chip Kelly moving. Want to talk to him a little bit about that. So we're going to talk to our guy Adam McClintock at 8. At 9, as DB mentioned, we're going to talk to Mike Sautter from Hurrdat Sports here to start off the 9 o'clock hour, and then we'll wrap up the show with Vrzal. I don't even know where we're going to go with Vrzal. This could get away from us.
It depends on what kind of mood.
That's a great question.
What kind of mood he's in?
Yeah,
because sometimes even I can't control him.
That's okay. We'll see what happens. It'll be fun. I feel like that's how you feel about me sometimes. Like sometimes I can't even control him.
Dude, there are some people though I have, because I think you hit the nail on the head off air. There is an irrational defense of Bo.
Yes.
And sometimes people just have a blind spot. Like
which is fine, but you have to acknowledge the blind spot. Like I like crappy movies sometimes, but I know they're bad. I'm not being like, why didn't this movie win an Oscar? Because I know it sucks. I just like it. I like crappy pop music sometimes, but I'm not sitting here being like, well, why didn't they win a Grammy? How come they're not talked about in the same sentence as Bruce Springsteen or whoever is your go-to?
Winning an Oscar doesn't necessarily make that movie a great movie.
He is so pragmatic. Shane, I love you, man. I missed you. I did. You're like one of the single greatest people I've ever met.
Man, that dirt looks amazing.
He's hilarious.
Sip, nailed it.
I'm like that with Mario Lemieux. Like
that's your blind spot?
Yes.
Okay.
I will. It's in my wheelhouse. It's early 90s.
Mm-hmm.
I'm in the height of like loving hockey. Just coming off the 80s run with Gretzky. I used to try to tell people I'd take Lemieux over Gretzky.
Mm-hmm.
And
which is a hot take, I think.
And everybody, people, unless you're a Pens fan, people would be like,
but in general,
you're an idiot. Like, look at Gretzky's numbers.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, yeah, there's just something about Mario. And then I'll bring up, cancer or the era or who Gretzky was allowed to play with, or that era of hockey, the open ice era with Messier and Curry and guys like that.
Mm-hmm.
So, and it's not like Lemieux didn't play with good players.
Right.
But I will spend an inordinate amount of time defending me taking Lemieux.
Absolutely. And
I probably know if I had to build a franchise, I'm starting with Gretzky.
Gretzky's better.
I just like Lemieux better.
That's fine.
I like
you
Lemieux
can
better.
like Bo Jackson better. That's fine.
Yeah.
But you cannot come at me and act like he had some great career, because he didn't.
I mean, I get it.
You could listen.
Kinda.
Irrational.
I take Magic over Michael if I had to start a team. And
and Magic wasn't better than Michael. Like, that's fine.
Yeah.
Like, maybe he fits certain things better than Michael, but Michael's a better player than Magic Johnson. Like, that is not arguable, really.
Yeah, like I was trying to say yesterday in the Big East, like Creighton's a better team than Marquette.
Yeah, Marquette might be a
numbers don't
bad matchup.
Yeah, numbers don't say that. But Creighton's a better team than Marquette.
So what's the definition of a short career in the NFL?
3 years.
Is that like where they get that?
Well, it depends on what you're talking about. Because for a regular player, 3 years is short in the NFL. If you're talking about a guy the way they talk about Bo Jackson, you need a larger body of work to justify that conversation. You do. Come on.
Okay.
Listen, you just laugh it off.
I agree.
Jesse on the War Horse Sportsbook Hotline.
No,
what's going on, Jesse?
Not really at all.
We gonna get to the caller there, Shano?
Jesse
on the War Horse Sportsbook Hotline.
What's up,
Jesse?
buddy?
Hey guys, sorry, I was trying to listen to your show and listen to that music at the same time, and it's a mess.
Is there hold music?
Yes, it's weird. It's like this NFL. It's almost like the NFL film music is set up.
You guys do realize it's Friday. Why is everybody mad?
I'm
Yeah, what's up, buddy?
Man, Not much. Well, I tweeted at you guys with the whole eye test thing. Like, eye test says Josh Gordon was the greatest receiver ever. But no, I consider myself somewhat of a subject matter expert on this. As you know, Damon, years ago I used to do a little scribing.
Yeah.
My professional. Yeah, I wrote an entire article about this topic and how people and Ravi, I tweeted at you yesterday. People are clouded because of Tecmo Bowl. If you ask them, remember how Bo Jackson used to pull away from
I agree. I agree.
He did that when you were playing with your buddies in Tecmo Bowl. If you look him up on YouTube, it's the same 7 run.
That's what I mean. Yes, thank you. You know why? Because he only had 16 career touchdowns. They can't go much higher.
Exactly. Yeah. And one more thing. As far as Tecmo Bowl goes, if you're playing me in Tecmo Bowl and you pick the Raiders, you better know that Marcus Allen and Jay Schrader is going to have to beat me because I'm picking Bo's run every single time. I'm not going to carry out with Bo. It's Marcus Day. And if they ain't beating me, you ain't beating me.
Jesse never disappoints.
Thank you, Jesse.
That's like the definition of a goat right there.
And if you
preach, brother.
Like he always has like these really good calls, but if you meet him, he is the most unassuming person. You would never guess. Never.
Now I'm supposed to give. According to the internet and my text messages. Now I'm supposed to give Bo credit I'm supposed to give Bo credit as a football player for playing baseball with a hip replacement. That's what I'm supposed to do now. As a football player, he's supposed to get more credit as a running back because he played baseball with a hip replacement. Cool. Good talk, guys. Good talk.
I think you just defined the GOAT right there. He has 7 runs and nobody could stop him. I mean, what is
I did not think that would be Jesse's take.
Best 7 runs of all time.
And that sounds like a GOAT to me. That sounds like a GOAT to me.
Listen, I told you I agreed with Lance.
No, but so in full disclosure, though, I mean,
I do think the Tecmo Bowl thing is a thing.
No, that's fine.
But
I don't love the same run thing because I like the run that they show of Mike Rozier is like one of his least greatest runs ever. The UCLA run where he reversed field and went all the way around, and I'm like, that wasn't even like his top 20 greatest runs.
No, that's fine. But if they wanted,
so I get it.
If they wanted to,
there's iconic highlights. But I do. Jesse's right. He did make the point. There aren't a ton of those.
There aren't because
I just wanted to separate.
He only had 16 career touchdowns. If you wanted to find more touchdowns for Mike Rozier, you could because they exist.
Don't you see like the same 6 Pedro Martinez highlights?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
But if you wanted more, you could find them because they exist. They don't exist with Bo. Bo has just enough for a great highlight package. That's it.
Sounds like a GOAT.
I'd like to get to the playoffs.
At some point we will. Wrapping up hour number 1 here on Hurrdat Sports Radio, AM 590, ESPN Omaha, ESPN Tri-Cities. We're live on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. The YouTube comments are off the hook as always. And we appreciate everybody chiming in on the Warhorse Sportsbook hotline as well. You can give us a call, 888-638-4876. I'm going to say one more thing for now, and then we can move on to other actual sports things that didn't happen 35 years ago. Here's what I'll say. If I gave you a blind resume, just of a prospect, with Bo's attributes, okay, what is he, 6'2", 230, 4'1", 340,
242.
6'2", 242, 4'1", 340.
I love you.
1,700 yards his senior year in college.
I don't even like saying that out loud. It kind of made me feel icky.
You a little cringy. Heisman Trophy as a senior in college. If I gave you all of that and say it will equal to this production, 38 total games in the NFL, 2,700 yards, and 16 touchdowns over the course of 4 years, you would be disappointed.
I don't know. For a Heisman Trophy winner, a lot of those Heisman guys don't make it that far.
You're missing the entire point of the argument here, Shano.
But he told you for 2 days in a row he has a blind spot.
I'm just saying, blind resume, take Bo's name off.
No, I'm with you.
If I give you all of those things
and
say this is what you get out of it, you'd be like, wait, that's it? If I gave you Adrian Peterson and said he ends up with 38 games, 2,700 yards, 16 touchdowns over 4 years, that's all you get. you'd be disappointed.
Yeah.
And I think Bo is more physically gifted than Adrian Peterson. Is that reasonable? They're at least in the same neighborhood.
I'm not going to die on that hill.
They're in the same neighborhood. Fair?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Adrian Peterson is probably the most gifted runner since Bo.
All day is a freak.
He is. So was Bo. That's the argument we're having with Bo, right? Absolute freak. If coming out of Oklahoma, Adrian Peterson had given you 38 games, 2,700 yards, 16 touchdowns over 4 years.
You know what's funny?
You'd be dramatically disappointed.
You know what's funny? If you go back and look at all days Oklahoma. Careful. What are you?
I'm 36. Barry was on the very front end of me watching NFL football.
Yeah.
And it was on the back end of his career. I saw good Barry Sanders, but I don't have the totality of his career. For guys whose career started after I started watching football.
I still think you're, with his greatness.
Who am I forgetting? Barry?
I still think you're sleeping on LaDainian Tomlinson.
Fair. LaDainian's really, really good.
He was unbelievable.
Really, really good. I remember LaDainian a little bit at TCU and obviously with the Chargers. I think the Chargers thing kind of leaves him out of he gets forgotten a little bit, which I'm a big Marshall Faulk guy.
Great player.
But for guys that started and ended their career since I started watching football, like Peterson is about as good
I
love
the blind spot thing. I also like
somebody asked a question.
Yeah, who was that? Was that Jordan? Yeah. So Jordan asked, he said, who's baseball's version of Bo Jackson?
A guy who's prodigiously talented.
I kind of like the Josh Hamilton answer.
Yeah. So basically what we're looking for, right, is somebody who's prodigiously talented, whose career did not live up to that talent for whatever reason.
Yeah. Matt Harrion. Matt Harrion is one of those guys, like locally.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you ask Nebraska fans, people will tell you that Matt Harrion belongs in like the pantheon of Nebraska tight ends.
Mm.
Now the numbers
don't really back that up.
In a kind of like in a condensed form, yes.
And it's harder in college, right? Because you only have so much time.
But I think that would be an equivalent.
But Josh Hamilton, I look at and say, because he asked specifically baseball. And Josh Hamilton, I look at, okay, guy that has.
So he had 4.5 really good years.
And
people forget he started. Didn't he start out in Cincinnati?
I'm
pretty sure.
He was drafted by the Rays.
I think he started out in Cincinnati too.
But I don't think he did anything until Texas in terms of his good run. Obviously, that was different circumstances, right? It was drugs and substance abuse and all that kind of stuff. But in terms of a guy who had all the talent in the world that never really got there, except for a brief and shining moment, it's Josh Hamilton.
I'd probably say it'd be more inclined to be pitchers.
Yeah, you get a lot with pitchers, with injuries
than positional players at first blush.
But even, we talked about this guy yesterday.
You know whose stats I need to go back and look at?
Who?
Like in its totality, because I have an irrational disdain for him.
Who?
Eric Lindros.
Ooh, yeah, I don't know.
Hockey.
Yeah.
And maybe he was better than I thought. It doesn't seem like it.
I've heard of him, so he probably was better than you thought.
At first blush. But I remember him again, this peak DB, right? I'm like, I don't get it. He's big, strong, young, good-looking guy. And I mean, he was uber talented. And he had a thing with him that you couldn't really see, so people wondered if he was like jaking it. But he was a concussion guy.
Oh yeah.
And I think at that time concussions were. I remember even when I first started coaching in high school, we would kind of roll our eyes when people would use the concussion term because
people thought you were soft
because you couldn't see it, and people would describe it, and you're like. And you sometimes it's embarrassing to say out loud now. Full disclosure, I'm pretty open with that. I'm like, really?
You wondered how much they actually wanted to be out there.
Yeah.
And thankfully we've come a long way.
Yeah.
Most people have come a long way with concussions and that, but that was pretty prevalent late 90s, early 2000s, even into late 2000s.
And you're talking 03 when I started?
Yeah, it was, I think obviously it's different because concussions do have physical symptoms, but I think it's a lot the way people talk about mental health.
I want to go back. Yeah, so Eric Lindros may be in that
one they need to revisit
in that discussion for
and
me.
To be clear, I don't have an irrational hate for Bo Jackson. I don't.
Yeah, I'm over kind of,
I don't care. It's not somebody that I have an axe to grind against. Like Russell Westbrook, irrational hate. I can admit that.
Did you watch Johnny Manziel's? Have you seen him on Club Shay Shay?
I haven't. I saw the documentary on him. I haven't caught up on Club Shay Shay yet.
I actually think that was, and I've cooled on Sharp the last month, right? Like I'm one of those guys. I'm like, ooh, I've seen this before, where you get like too much, too fast, and you don't know what to do with it.
Kind of trying to keep his head above water.
Yeah, like I see myself in there sometimes, and he's kind of emotional, so it's like you have to practice balancing that. But Johnny Manziel was really, really interesting, and I thought he was honest, like at least authentic, right? And so he's talking about. He said something about maximizing your God-given abilities, and the thing that sticks in his craw the most is he just wasn't willing to grind day to day to reach his full potential. Number one, because he didn't want to be accountable. But number two, he didn't love playing.
Yeah.
And we've talked about this a lot. I've talked about this for like 5 or 6 years. Yeah, I told you, Bo opened my eyes to it. Like, oh God, he
not
actually
everybody loves it. Yeah.
And so I just started thinking about when people actually do stuff just because they can versus whether they love it. And he's like, you know what? I didn't love it. And he went into kind of explaining, he'd go on these benders like Tuesday and Thursday, and he'd have to run it off during walkthroughs. And he goes, I just wish I would have appreciated my teammates more because I wouldn't have been so quick to want to let them down, being selfish. And I it's just funny because that team won a lot of games. And I always think about, I draw it back to a lot of times people think it's just about having good players, but that is only a minuscule part of it.
It's only part of it.
Like you have to be committed. Max said it the other day in his presser. Did you catch it? He said,
you have to have guys that want to be unselfish and play the way we want to play.
100%.
Yep.
He said that's not for everybody, and that's okay. You can be good someplace else.
But those are the guys that we bring here.
Those are the guys that we bring here. And I go back to, people think I have a weird affinity for Coach Mack. And I just remember in 13, like when they transitioned and we had him on in the Big East, and I asked him about recruiting, right? Because you had to go from Mo Valley to the Big East.
Yeah, mid-major recruiting to Big East.
And he said, give me a little time, right? I'm not going to make any irrational judgments yet. I don't, because I was kind of getting specific, right? Not really. I was talking about length and wing defenders and the way the game is played. And he goes, I need to study it. I need to look at backcourts. I need to see how teams are playing. He says, but two things that we're not gonna get away from. I want guys that are highly skilled, and I want guys with good high basketball IQs. Those are non-negotiables.
Yeah.
And you just hear like Coach Rule. Was he talk about the basic guidelines of guys that he recruits? What does he always land the plane on? Guys that want to be here.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Guys that love playing. Because
he does the same thing with coaches too. With his coaching staff.
Right?
Guys that want to be there, guys that love football, guys that are going to grind.
And behind the scenes, I mean, look at how many times these guys have like swapped out staffs.
Yeah. But he always finds the next right guy.
Yeah.
Coming up next, speaking of coaching staffs, we're going to talk to Adam McClintock. He's the college football professor from Matrix Analytical. Haven't had a chance to really dive into some of the stuff that happened at UCLA, some of the movement from head coach to coordinator spots. Want to get into that with Adam here coming up on the 8 o'clock hour. That's coming up next on Hurrdat Sports Radio. Kicking off hour number 2 here on Hurrdat Sports Radio, AM 590, ESPN Omaha, ESPN Tri-Cities We are live on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla. Want to tell you and remind you to get out to the Omaha Mavericks hockey. They have just 4 home games left this season, starting tonight and tomorrow night with Colorado College, a top 20 matchup. Get your tickets now by calling the box office 402-554-MAVS or by going to omavs.com/ticks. Let's pack the Baxter. Joining us now on the Warhorse Sportsbook Hotline is Adam McClintock. He's the college football professor and he's from Matrix Analytical. Adam, how are you this morning?
Doing good, man. How you doing?
Well, I'm good. Shane's good. We're just kind of getting Ravi settled in here a little bit. It's been a volatile 2 days for my explosive little friend over here.
Just don't mention Bo Jackson or Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah,
that's fine.
Yeah, fine. So I wanted to lament and kind of wax poetic about Drew Christo in Nebraska baseball, and he's having none of it. I tried to transition a little bit into Jays in Nebraska basketball. He's having none of it. So I'm just going to let this die down a little bit, and we'll talk coaching because he's been wanting to talk to you all week. It's funny. He started this on last Thursday, and then we kind of got away from it. And then Monday, he got on Shane again. And then Wednesday, he's like, hey, where are we with college football? I want to talk coaches. And so I think Shane was like, okay, I got it. So it's good to talk to you. Very good to talk to you.
Yeah, Adam, I wanted to start with Deshaun Foster. He was kind of the biggest one in the late cycle of the coaching carousel. And I'm curious because obviously Tony White was, mentioned in connection with that job. Deshaun Foster's resume on paper, at least to me, is a little light. How did you see that hire? How do your analytics kind of grade out Deshaun Foster?
Well, as a head coach, we don't have any data on him, of course, because he's never done it before, right? So that's kind of we just have him as our baseline, grade there, where everybody starts off with. To me, what that screamed about UCLA is they didn't have the cash to necessarily pay for some buyouts that they were wanting to maybe explore. Deshaun Foster, I know they were wanting to get something in place quickly, but and Deshaun Foster being the alum he is and being maybe a little bit familiar with the roster that's currently there, I think it was a quick knee-jerk move to try to keep that roster in place. But that's kind of, to me anyway, that looks a little bit short-sighted because you're trying to save, a roster of, for the next 2 or 3 years by hiring a guy you're hoping to keep for 5 to 7, right? At least. So I don't know. In his case, Deshaun Foster is a good recruiter. So there is a way to staff a coaching staff where your head coach is basically the figurehead for your recruiting department, right? And then, the only way to make that work is to go through and hire really good assistants.
Mm-hmm.
And that's, and once again, coming back to the cash issue, how much cash is going to be available there for him to go out and make those good hires. I mean, a good comp to this working is Sam Pittman's first year at Arkansas when he hired a great staff and he was just basically responsible for bringing in the talent because Sam Pittman is known down the Southeast as a dynamic recruiter.
And now he finds himself probably at the top of 2024's coach's hot seat list in Arkansas. It's weird how that works. I mean, I would put him up there.
Yeah, exactly. He is. And the reason for that is because, he lost those coordinators and some of those coaches off that first staff he had, and he hasn't done the greatest job at replacing those guys with quality coaches.
Adam, as you're kind of describing this model that they're sort of hoping to replicate with Deshaun Foster, the guy that came to mind to me was Dabo Swinney. Is that a fair comparison in terms of what of an example of that type of situation actually working?
That's exactly that is the example. Dabo Swinney was nothing but a wide receivers coach before he was promoted to head coach, or he was interim head coach at first, right?
Yep, he was interim for half a season, and then he got the job. But yeah, wide receivers coach before that.
Yeah, exactly, and that is a perfect example of this working. He basically is the figurehead of maybe not the recruiting side of it now, since he's not necessarily a fan of NIL or the portal or anything like that now.
But at the time,
but at the time, he was a great recruiter, and he was a great communicator. So that was their starting point, and then he went out and he made some really good hires. He hired Brent Venables away from Oklahoma. He had Tony Elliott there, offensive coordinator for a while.
Chad Morris after that as well.
Yeah,
offensive coordinator.
Yep. Yeah. And so he made some really good coaching staff hires around him in order to make that work. That's like I said at UCLA, that's going to be tough to see that happen. He's got some good guys on staff there right now, but I think the reason you haven't seen that staff fill out quickly is because they're dealing with a pretty limited budget.
Interesting. So, like this go around for the hiring session, Adam, what happened with some of the hot young guys from? I always worry about windows, right? Like your window of opportunity if you're going to make a move. And I look at guys like Jamie Chadwell. It's a name that I was thinking, if you're looking for a sitting head coach and you want to make a move of a guy that can put together a program, like what happened to a guy like Chadwell this time around? Or do you have another young guy like that whose maybe window is only open for just a short time?
Well, Jamie Chadwell, I was with you. That was a guy that we really, to a few of our clients that were looking for head coaches this year, he was always the name we brought up, and it never really got down the road very far with him, and we're not really for sure why, because we don't get told those reasons why.
Yeah.
But I think some of it is the programs have a really hard time getting past the quote unquote gimmick offense that he has, I think, and how, there's not a lot of NFL talent maybe that's going to come out of that offense. But, you're not worried about that. If you're hiring a head coach, you're worried about winning ball games. And Jamie Chadwell does that. So I'm with you there. I don't understand why he has not had a big break yet. And I think in the next cycle, if he doesn't get it, then I don't know what to tell you. It's crazy.
Adam, is there part of this equation that like he sort of makes a lot of money for where he's at? Like Liberty pays him well for the level.
A lot of money there.
They do, right? I don't know that people realize how cash rich that Liberty is. I think he makes like $4 million a year. That's kind of a lot for maybe some of the, like, is that part of the hesitation is, we don't know if we can pay him?
Well, no, because the schools that, for example, let's just throw out an example. Let's say Mississippi State was going out to hire him, right? $4 million is not a thing
for them. Okay.
School. Okay. I mean, it's for a G5 school, $4 million is a lot for a head coach, and he's very well paid for that. But you start getting into what we call Tier 1 schools, which are the new SEC and Big Ten. The $4 million for a head coach, isn't all that much, especially when you look at coordinators like Ryan Grubb who are making upwards of $2 million.
How about his month? Like if you just want to pick 30 days of Ryan Grubb from college football playoffs to when Alabama. He finally wanted to land the job that he apparently had his pickings of. It'd be good to be Grubb, wouldn't it?
Oh man, yeah. That guy he's one of the best in the country at what he does. And that he follows kind of a trend we've seen this year. It's been kind of a weird coaching cycle.
Very much so.
Yeah, you got sitting head coaches at the G5 level who are leaving to take Power 5 coordinator and sometimes just position coach positions, and then you have an influx of, I know coaches from college to the NFL isn't a new trend, but there have been a lot more high profile coaches this year leave college football to go to the NFL than there has been in the past, which has been really, really interesting. So, and Grubb was one of those guys. He would have been great at Alabama. I would have loved to see what he could have done with Alabama's talent. But now he lives in Seattle, and hopefully he didn't break his lease when he left Seattle to come down to Alabama.
Let me ask you something about a guy. And I don't know if there are guys that defy your analytics or some guys you have to revisit, but how curious a case is a guy like Josh Heupel, right? Like, does your data kind of foreshadow or dictate how his career has gone? Or does landing at Tennessee and kind of changing the environment, has it benefit, hurt? Like, where are you with a guy like Heupel in terms of your analytics?
Well, Heupel is a guy that we've always liked as an offensive coordinator. Okay. Now, he got paired at times. He started after he left Oklahoma. He started at Utah State, right? Had some success there. Landed at Missouri. Was put up some big offenses at Missouri. The problem he had as a coordinator coming up is his pace of play was so fast that he ran his defensive coordinator ragged. I mean, Barry Odom at Missouri experienced that, and that was a lot of the reason that why that relationship didn't work out great. Odom's defenses fell apart towards the end of his regime there, just because of the pace of play was so high. Going into Tennessee as a head coach, he has been able to rein that in a little bit, and I don't know if I assume he still calls plays, but it's at a much slower clip than it was at Missouri and Utah State. So maybe he's evolved a little bit into understanding how to play more complementary football. As we that's a term we hear around Lincoln a lot these days. Slowing down his offense enough to give his defense a break and allowing them to be successful on the field. We have him as he's done really well as a head coach. He's in the top 15 head coaches we have rated right now.
We're talking with Adam McClintock. He is the college football professor and co-founder of Matrix Analytical. Adam, I wanted to ask you about, you mentioned some of the head coaches taking coordinator jobs, and specifically Chip Kelly, right? I know he was kind of on the hot seat because they tried to fire him and couldn't. But how do you evaluate a guy like Chip Kelly moving back down to a coordinator spot? Like, what are your metrics and I guess your eye test tell you about how that might work out at OSU?
Well, I mean, at UCLA, Chip never gave up play calling duties.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, that just rolls right over into what we see him doing at Ohio State. Is play calling. Chip has never given up play calling. So what he did at UCLA still translates over to what he did at Ohio State, and I expect him to put together some pretty scary offenses at Ohio State. It'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see how he and Ryan Day get along, because Ryan Day is used to being a play caller as well. So, I mean, that relationship can sometimes get a little rocky, especially Chip is kind of a no nonsense guy. So, I'm interested as anybody to see how that translates at Ohio State, but we expect that to be a success at Ohio State. Even more so, this is a big upgrade over Bill O'Brien, what they had before. So.
Let me ask you about Glenn Thomas. It's interesting because the collegiate data gets a break from pro stints, and it started out with a pro stint. How do you feel about the fit, and do you have to factor in the co-deal with Satterfield statistically when you're looking at a hiring of a guy like Glenn Thomas?
The Glenn Thomas hire, like you said, it's a fit. A lot of the things that this data can't see is chemistry.
Yeah.
And communication between coaches. That's a lot of things that the numbers just can't quantify. The quickest way to stop progress is to confuse communication. So if you can keep communication constant throughout that staff, that has to count for something, but the numbers can't capture that. We like Glenn Thomas. He was a above average quarterback coach in college. He has a great progression year to year, which is something we really, really pay attention to, which means his quarterbacks, I think it was around 8% per year progression year over year in their production. So I really like what he did in the college level. We don't track NFL numbers because the NFL is such a different game with so many different factors than college. So we kind of leave that over to itself. But I really like what he's done in the college game. I think he'll be an excellent addition to the staff.
A lot of guys out there in 2024. So now it's like I'm a little paranoid, right? I told Ravi and some of these guys that have asked me close over under in years for Tony White at Nebraska. I put it at 1.5. My heart wants to take the over, obviously being personally invested, but you got guys like Narduzzi and Clark Lee and Sam Pittman and Dave Miranda. You've got Napier. Yeah, I mean, Pittman. You got some guys where some jobs could be open. Do you expect this to be a pretty volatile year for some really good jobs? Because on paper, it seems like there could be some potential openings. Yeah, I don't know if I'd put Clark Lee and Vandy at, or Pittsburgh with Florida, but I'm just saying generally speaking.
Generally speaking, yeah. I mean, there's a lot of rent due notices coming for some of these coaches. So I think Baylor is one of the top of the list there. Anytime.
Are you surprised that he struggled?
I am.
Me too.
Because he started off really well, and I think he is once again a victim of he hired really well. His first staff he hired really well there. It slowly got cherry picked, and he was slow to backfill it. So a lot of especially first time head coaches like Aranda was, right. That's what trips them up is they hire a really good first staff. Okay. Then when they're in the storm and things are swirling around them, and then all of a sudden they have to go out and then restaff again, that's where the challenge comes in, and that's what we do at Matrix Analytical is to help those guys.
Yeah.
Adam, we talk a lot about obviously the head coach and coordinator positions, but you talked about what you guys kind of do at Matrix Analytical. Who are some, and they don't have to be your guys, but who are some of the kind of down the line hires that you think people did the best job with this year?
Well, just at any position coaches,
just
coordinators.
Yeah,
okay.
Any non-head coaches that you thought were particularly good hires this cycle.
Well, I'll give you a real sneaky one that people probably aren't talking about. A couple of them. Okay.
Don't say Tim Brewster.
No.
Wouldn't that be something though? Because I mean, Kirk's got to know what he's doing.
Yeah, Tim Lester. Yeah,
I said Brewster. I meant Lester.
Yeah, I mean Lester. It's a big upgrade over what they had before. The thing about Tim Lester is his numbers are actually pretty decent in our system,
especially the last couple of years. It's kind of sneaky.
Yeah, I know, and you look at his career. He has really wide goalposts, so he can be really, really, really bad, but he can also put out some really, 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 really good numbers. So with a guy like that, if Iowa would have been our client, we would have said, okay, interview this guy, see what you think. It's a you call on this one because his goalposts are really wide. We don't know what to expect. So now a couple other really sneaky good hires down the road in Lawrence. Okay, they lost Scott Fuchs, their offensive line coach to the NFL. They went out and they hired Daryl. I can't pronounce his last name.
Alpaza, yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. From Northern Illinois. That was a really good hire. That was a really good hire. We've liked him for a long time in Northern Illinois, and he finally is getting his chance at the Power 5 level. Another guy that just happened, another hire that just happened this morning from a guy that we really like. Wisconsin got their defensive coordinator, defensive line coach, E.J. Whitlow from Air Force. That was a really good hire. That was
quietly his staff is legit.
No, DB, that Wisconsin staff. They're top 5 in the country.
You don't have to tell me. That was probably that was the one school I was probably fearful of because you could see it, they speak it. It's very clear the direction that they want to move with their staff. very, very clear.
Once again, we come back to the communication element of it. And it's, you want progress, keep the communication lines clear and open, and it usually follows. But man, that is a really good staff, and they just added to it with EJ Whitlow.
I already think Hitchler's a stud. I mean,
yeah,
he's right there on par with Tressel, and I know Tressel gets a lot of the run, but Hitchler, he's pretty. They're legit.
No, yeah, that whole staff is very impressive. Luke Fickle has done a really good job of not only did he field a great staff to begin with, but he's backfilled it now a couple times with guys who have left with more quality guys. So he knows what he's doing. He's going to be a headache in the Big Ten at Wisconsin, either sooner or later.
Size this up for me, because we talked about this with hoops and the Big East and their coaching prowess, and the Big 12 and at the top. But when you look at the Big Ten's coaching prowess from head coaches, and as you've stated numerous occasions, your assistants are very important. This on paper looks like a very difficult conference to coach in because it seems to be a lot of quality.
Yeah, I mean, we have the Big Ten the Big Ten is the Shark Tank of coaching. Okay,
really.
When we have it when we have a Big Ten client come to us asking us for help, that's the conference we usually don't send new coaches to, because they will get eaten alive.
Great.
It's a tough conference. It's the best coach conference according to our data in the country.
Seems like it.
And you're adding. It was a lot more scary when DeBoer was at Washington.
Yeah.
But
that didn't bother me at all. I was like, oh, okay.
Lose Harbaugh and DeBoer in the same cycle.
I was hoping they made moves at Oregon. Like, is there another job you want? There's some big openings.
That's right. I have to stay neutral, but when I'm looking at these numbers and stuff, but as a Nebraska fan, I was not, my heart didn't hurt at all to see him go to Alabama. Get him out of the league.
Adam, we appreciate your time. Really good stuff there, as always. I'm sure we will catch up again soon.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Adam.
That's Adam McClintock. He's the college football professor. Get a little smarter when we talk to Adam.
Yeah, Lester seemed like a good hire.
Yeah, I mean, it's easy to clown Iowa just because they're Iowa, right?
I don't say anything until we start winning more.
Yeah, it's fair, and that's totally fair.
I don't take any shots.
There might be a little bit of like Schadenfreude there with the Iowa hate and stuff like that.
Wisconsin, I know, is good.
Yeah.
I'll be curious to see. So who I think comes way, way, way back to they may be in trouble.
Who?
You ready?
Michigan?
Minnesota.
Oh, yeah. I'm a little worried about Michigan next year.
Being a monster or coming back
to the pack a little bit.
Well, I mean, there's no place to go
but down, right? But I think they might come further down than people realize.
Minnesota may be in that 4-win range. And PJ won it out. And weird things up there.
We'll get into more on Hurrdat Sports Radio coming up next. We're halfway through the show here on Hurrdat Sports Radio, AM 590, ESPN Omaha, ESPN Tri-Cities. We are also live on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. And I want to tell you about our friends over at the Omaha Supernovas. They are on a little road stretch here away from home. I was at their last home match on Sunday, had a good time there. Unfortunately, they fell on Wednesday to the Columbus Fury on the road. But they are back at it again on this Sunday. They're going to be in Orlando trying to have a rematch with the Orlando Valkyries, who they beat just a few days ago here in Omaha. But they'll be back in town on March 14th. I know it seems like a long way away. It's just a couple weeks from now at the CHI Health Center, 7 p.m. start against the Atlanta Vibe. Make sure you go to supernovas.com. You can check out their schedule. And, of course, you can buy tickets. You can get some merch. They've got some pretty sweet gear out there. Make sure you follow along with Omaha's professional volleyball franchise, the Supernovas. That's March 14th is when they return home. Make sure you go get your tickets at supernovas.com. Kind of returning to some of the comments that we had in the YouTube stream regarding you had somebody ask you who was the baseball version of Bo Jackson. We had a couple really good entries here. The first one, and let me see if I can find who said it. It was Matt on the YouTube stream. Tim Lincecum's a really good one.
Yeah, I think I like that one a lot just because, again, it's in my wheelhouse. But I think I found a better one.
Okay.
Because he's a Carolina guy.
Who is it?
Matt Harvey.
Ooh, Matt Harvey's a good one. That dude fell off a cliff.
I took pictures with Matt Harvey. I probably, he had the cool nickname, the Dark Knight.
Yeah.
Carolina guy.
There's kind of a mystique around him.
And I bet you he didn't get more than probably 3 good ones.
Yeah,
and a pretty steep cliff too.
Yeah, so about 2.5. His first year, he only started 10 games as a rookie, but he was good. Then he had 2 good years in 2013, and he missed one. So 2013 and 2015, he was good. But after 2015, he fell off. I mean, not another sub 4.5 ERA. First 3 years.
I like the Lincecum one too.
Lincecum's really good. He had that 4-year stretch
because when he went from great, he wasn't just good. He was bad.
Yeah.
He didn't go from like great to okay. He was bad.
Yeah, he didn't go from like great to okay or great to decent. He went from great to not functional.
And I'm obviously very much anti-Giants.
Sure.
So I pay a ton of attention. Lincecum was always a medical runner because he was a little guy.
He was really small.
And that was
always the concern with him too, was, okay, how's he going to hold up?
So do you know who I used to, and he's my favorite.
They list him at 5'11". That's not accurate.
No, he's my favorite non-Nebraska, this guy is my favorite non-friend Nebraska pitcher. Shane Comine reminded me a little bit of Tim Lincecum.
Yeah, Tim Lincecum.
Because I'm in college, and Comine's after that, and I could see what was actually going on. Was like Lincecum was a little guy.
He was.
He smoked entirely too much.
Fair critique.
I mean, he was kind of a puka shell.
Yeah, he was. Your
how many bowls?
California
clearing 5-footers. Like he was totally that guy.
West Coast bro. Yeah,
but for a little guy, he threw so hard.
Well, he had that really max effort.
Yeah, over the top
delivery.
Yeah,
and that's what concerned people, right? They're like, is that going to be sustainable? And for a stretch there, he was the best pitcher in baseball. There was about probably a 3-year stretch, maybe 4-year stretch, where you could argue he was the best player in baseball. He won back-to-back Cy Youngs. He was phenomenal, and then fell off the cliff.
So Comine is another one of those guys I probably have a blind spot for.
Sure, I love Shane Comine.
Roy Halou. Like if you just talk collegiate,
sure.
I think I have a blind spot for Halou.
I think I like Halou more than most people.
I love Roy Halou.
I think people gravitate towards Burkhead a little more than Halou. But I love Roy Halou. I thought was so good.
It's kind of irrational.
Yeah,
he was
phenomenal. He was a really, really good college running back.
Unbelievable.
He kind of gets lost in the Burkhead, Amir Abdullah, like kind of that era of running back. But Halou, I think Halou was probably a touch better than Burkhead as a runner. Amir probably gets.
You could make the case. I'm not gonna go like. You don't have to get it all the way into this. We'll get to Ramon in a second. You could make the case that there are some similarities in terms of their Q rating.
Mm-hmm.
Rex Burkhead has a very high,
super likable guy,
likable lore, but the productivity for a guy that was really good, the productivity doesn't match the love.
That's fair,
right?
Now he was pretty productive.
Yes, that's what I'm
Nebraska.
saying.
Yeah.
So it's not I think it's where I was going with this. It's kind of like the Bo thing where Rex is really, really, really good. The reverence for him is really, 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 really high.
Yeah.
It's not his fault that there's a gap between those two things because he is a really good player. He's top 5 beloved.
Oh, yeah, I think so.
You know what I mean? Where it's like, I think that's why the Roy, I think during that stretch, there was a good run on running backs, man. I
There was
the practice I went to that had Burkhead, Amir, Aaron Green, and Braylon Hurd.
Ooh, that's a good group.
Ron Brown was coaching them. I went over in the corner to watch, and I was like, one of you guys not going to make it unless you get it in gear.
Yeah, well, and a couple of them didn't make it. Braylon Hurd ends up at Kentucky.
So do you know
Aaron
what it
Green
was,
ends up
though?
At TCU.
Not so much with Braylon, but more Aaron, is the first two guys' work ethic was considerably different than the other two.
Well, that's kind of.
I mean, they were sprinting to get more reps, and I was having flashbacks. I was like, ooh, Amon, LP, Clinton, like,
yeah,
you better match the lead horse, or
you're gonna get left behind.
It's over.
Yeah,
it's over.
Well, and one of the things that was so likable about Rex Burkhead was the whole Jack Hoffman thing, right? I mean, that was a big part of what ended up being his legacy.
He
at
was
Nebraska.
a great early on. I don't know, like if they started to nerd because he had a few He was a great practice player.
Rex,
yeah. Amir was a great practice player.
Yeah,
and I wondered if those guys could
match it.
Yeah, they were setting an elite level pace.
Real quick before we get to Ramon, since I brought it up, 11th annual Team Jack Gala presented by Fat Brain Toys coming up tomorrow in Lincoln. Many great auction items to get involved with. Visit teamjackfoundation.org to participate. You can also just donate directly on the website there. Find out what other events they've got coming up. But the 11th annual Team Jack Gala presented by Fat Brain Toys tomorrow in Lincoln. Visit teamjackfoundation.org for more. On the Warhorse Sportsbook Hotline, let's get to Ramon. He's got a thought on the best player of all time. Ramon, what's up?
Hey, what's up, fellas?
Ramon, what's up,
How
buddy?
you doing?
Hey, so I was saying in general because I was listening to the wrangling over the running backs lately with you guys.
It's not me.
And
I'm not in there.
I want to remind you to never underestimate the power of confirmation bias.
Okay.
I once had a major report that was doing a direct comparison of Claritin and Allegra medication, right? And one was done by the makers of Claritin and one was done by the makers of Allegra. Both had thousands of test subjects, all this data, and the result, Claritin said theirs was by far better. Allegra said theirs was by far better, and they had all this data supporting their point of view. So what I'm saying is, you can look at data points and make them mean whatever you want them to mean. So, I mean, according to Bo Jackson fans, if he hadn't have been hurt, he would have ran for 7.2 million yards in his career.
7.2 million. Is that all?
Right. If he hadn't have been hurt, right? So we're sometimes people don't really care about the facts. I get the facts are important, but not to everybody.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. Hey, speaking of facts, you got anything I need to be watching? I'm always looking for a TV show.
Well, one of the more recent ones people have been talking about is Griselda. Did you see that?
No, I'm not interested.
Is that the Sofia Vergara one?
Yeah, drug kingpin rise to fame. I'm not a big cartel guy.
You're not a cartel guy.
No.
What?
I know. I got a buddy, Chris. I got a buddy my Kravanik, who's like all in on those shows. Like, I'm just like, I don't know. It's just not my thing. Give me another one, quick.
Yeah.
Give me another one. I don't like Sofia Vergara either, and I know I'm gonna get kicked out of here. But that's not my. I know. Stop. I get it.
One you said you liked before, the older one, Mayor of Easttown.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Was a great one.
That was an unbelievable series.
That was really good.
And it was quick.
Ramon, appreciate the call. We will talk to you again soon. That's on the Warhorse Sportsbook Hotline. Coming up next, we'll wrap up hour number 2. Where's the time gone, DB?
Severe's going to want to fight me over Sophia.
I'm losing my voice a little bit. Been yelling too much last couple days.
It's okay.
We'll be back with more Hurrdat Sports Radio. Wrapping up hour number 2 here on Hurrdat Sports Radio, AM 590, ESPN Omaha, ESPN Tri-Cities. Want to remind you about our friends over at the Warhorse Sportsbook and Casino. We've had a lot of activity on that Warhorse Sportsbook hotline the last couple days, but you can have some activity over at the Sportsbook in Lincoln or in Omaha. In Omaha, you go over to Horseman's Park at 6303 Q Street. In Lincoln, you just go over to the casino there. You can place sports bets on nearly every major sporting event. All sorts of bets available to you. Straight bets, the live in-game bets that me and B. Edwards were fawning over
you guys
yesterday.
are weird.
Had a good time there. You do parlays, props, pretty much anything you can think of, you are able to do over at Warhorse Sportsbook. So make sure you go visit our friends there. Go to warhorsecasino.com/sportsbook for additional details and a full list of house rules. Warhorse Sportsbook, no bets, no glory. What's up, DB?
Oh, no, it's just funny. I asked Chris, because Narcos was the show that one time he was fixing something at my old place, and he can talk and work. He's just talking and working at the same time. He's like, yeah, this show Narcos, I've kind of been in, and he had his two kids at the time were over. One was downstairs with Micah, and his daughter was waiting out in the truck, and he's just telling these random stories as he's fixing it. And he's like, yeah, they're interrogating this guy. And I'm kind of paying attention. I'm kind of not, because I'm trying to get him a to-go plate to go, right? Because I wanted to make sure that he ate. So I knew he likes those kinds of shows. And for a guy like you that always needs a happy ending, I'm like, it's probably a little heavy for you.
Not
but
always.
It's kind of like that for me too. So but there are all those shows, right? Cocaine Cowboy, Narcos. I'm just not a cartel guy. But he just said, like, right on cue, he's like, Griselda, he said it's mid.
The only show I could think of that's got cartel prominence that I'm a big fan of is Breaking Bad. And I've
never seen it.
I wouldn't say it's cartel focused, but they are a part of the conversation in there.
I don't typically watch those. Like, I didn't see Snowfall, even though TikTok made Snowfall seem like it would be good.
Breaking Bad's really good.
I didn't see the one. I didn't see Better Call Saul. I didn't see Breaking Bad.
Better Call Saul is good also, but I mean, you can't really watch one without the other, I would say.
Are you swayed by whether you like the person in the movie?
Oh, 100%.
I am too.
100%. There's some people I just don't like.
Yeah. But some people have won me over.
Yeah.
Like Kiefer Sutherland. I never liked Kiefer Sutherland until 24.
I'm kind of like this with Tom Cruise.
I'm the same way.
There's a couple roles that I really like him in. I love Top Gun Maverick. I think that's a phenomenal movie. Really, really enjoy it. I like a couple of his other movies. Like, have you seen Edge of Tomorrow?
No.
Really
so
good movie.
The only real Tom Cruise movies, like, I would say that I'm like A Few Good Men.
I love A Few Good Men. But like I'm out on the Mission
Jerry
Impossibles.
Maguire.
Like,
I've never seen any Mission Impossible.
The Mission Impossibles don't do it for me at all.
But I watched the Reachers in the wrong order. I only watched his Reachers because of the Amazon Reachers
one with the giant guy.
So I just saw the last two Reachers in the last year.
Yeah,
and they've been out a while. But I only went back but I binged the first Reacher literally. This is honest to God true story.
Yeah.
3:30, 3:45 on a Friday morning into Saturday morning. Through making breakfasts till about 12 o'clock on Saturday noon, I watched the first go around of Reacher because those were already out. Season 2 they released
sequentially.
Yeah, which I hate.
Yeah, just drop them all. Drop them all at the same time.
Just let me watch.
Let me binge it.
Yeah. But I like Reacher.
Can I be honest with you here for a second?
Absolutely.
I don't know how you function as a human being.
Oh, I mean, that's why I have bad days.
No, but like the sleep stuff,
it's not healthy.
I don't understand it.
It's not healthy.
I have to sleep. Like I can get away with it a couple days in a row, but I could not live.
I mean, I wish I could.
Yeah.
Like don't let me kid you into thinking this is a good idea.
I'm not saying it's a good idea, but considering I know that that's not an unusual thing for you to do, I am shocked by how functional you are.
Yeah. Well, when you have people running around the house all the time, and sometimes you don't always want to, you don't know if Zoe has her headphones on and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I want to. There's stuff I want to watch. So I watched 3 episodes of Monarch yesterday just to get caught up.
You got to make time for it. I mean, it's in the morning when the kids aren't up. It's in the morning.
It's easier for me because I can watch whatever I want whenever I want, right? Because it's there's no kids around.
And I was barely at home yesterday afternoon because I had to do Mike and I were ripping and running just because he had an appointment. And I didn't know about it until up until the last 30 minutes.
Yeah.
They were just doing me a favor. So I had to be on standby. And so I try to just sneak in time when I can.
Mm-hmm. And that's where you consistently have time is middle of the night.
Yeah. And I'm not tired.
Yeah. That's part of it.
I don't know.
I'm not always tired on the front end, but if I don't get my sleep, I will be a problem on the back end.
Yeah.
That's where I run into trouble. Like I said, I can do it a couple days in a row, but if I have to do it for more than about a week, we're gonna have a problem.
Yeah, the Mayor of Easttown. So Ramon has like seen everything.
Mayor of Easttown's a great.
It was a great.
See, and that's one where like
and I like her.
Yes, I do too.
So she's
very compelling,
and it was quick.
Yeah, it was like 6, 8 episodes. It was pretty fast.
So the one
where that's like that doesn't have like a real happy ending, and I like that one.
Well, so here's the one I'm going to commit to, but it's long, so I'm a little intimidated.
Okay,
but I'm like 7 episodes in. I'm going to make it through Peaky Blinders.
Oh, Peaky Blinders. So
he dominates my TikTok.
First of all, Cillian Murphy is incredible. He's one of the people on the opposite ends where if he's in something, I want to watch it. Right? I love Oppenheimer. Love that movie.
Yeah, I'm probably not sitting through that.
That's fine. You don't have to. I also have a weird affinity for, like, I have like a fascination about like nuclear things.
Weird.
So, I mean, you're the guy that's obsessed with orca whales. Don't come at me with that.
At least it's strategic. I mean, nuclear, it's like one.
No, it's the science of it. Like
it's like one and done, bro.
The science of like how nuclear things work fascinates me.
Listen, let's not push. Let's not. Okay, stop.
What?
Let's not compare a one and done button push.
Well, it's not
to the strategic hunting in family structure.
No, you're thinking
of orcas.
You're thinking of only the bomb. I'm talking about like nuclear energy. Like I'm fascinated with what was wrong at Chernobyl. Fascinated.
Well, take a dive in the river. See what happens. Tell me what you can
find.
I
don't want to do that.
Let me know what you can find.
I like the science of it. It's not just the pushing the button and the explosion. I like the science of how they got there.
Yeah.
So like Chernobyl's really fascinating to me. Oppenheimer's really interesting to me. But Cillian Murphy is so good. Peaky Blinders is good. I really love the first
like 1 out of every 12 things I scroll through.
Yeah.
Is Peaky Blinders.
The first 4 seasons are
and I like Tom Hardy too.
I like Tom Hardy too a lot.
God, I got a secret kind of I think he's sensational.
He's another one of those guys where it's like, yeah, I might watch something just because he's in it.
Yeah.
I will say the first 4 seasons
that
of Peaky
Cruise
Blinders
thing is funny. I don't like Tom Cruise either, but
I don't know what
but
it
his
is.
good stuff is really good.
It is. But I'm not gonna go see something just because he's in it.
And his bad stuff
is
really awful.
bad.
I just don't think he's believable because he's a little guy.
Well, not just that he's believable, it's just he's always sort of being Tom Cruise.
No, and I do like a lot of bad movies.
Yeah. But it's like blind spots we talked about earlier. You know they're bad movies.
Yeah.
Right? I'm not trying to talk you into
I would try to push Joe Dirt on you though.
Joe Dirt's funny.
I watched some bad CGI animal stuff.
Yeah.
You know, like Mega Python.
Like I'll go speaking of Tom Cruise, not his version, but like I'll go back and watch the original Mummy with like Brendan Fraser. And like I understand that's not a good movie. I still enjoy it.
Yeah, there's a funny story about me confusing actors and the Mummy who were.
I did have kind of a crush on what's the actress in that one?
Rachel.
No. Rachel Weisz. I kind of had when I was a kid, I had a little crush on Rachel Weisz. I was like, 12, 13 years old. Out. Yeah. That's all right.
But there are. Listen, I'm not here to judge you. Like I've grown out of some. I had some really bad taste.
That's one of those where it's like, hey, I understand the Mummy's a bad movie. I still like it. I'm gonna enjoy watching it, even though. So I don't. It doesn't always have to be art, you know. It can just be entertainment.
Yeah. Like I've kind of grown out of the Alicia Keys thing.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean,
still all in on Erykah Badu, even though she's bald. But
is she bald now?
She is.
I didn't know that.
She's stunning.
Who's she married to?
Common. No, I don't think they're together anymore.
Oh, they were. She was married to somebody famous.
I think it was Common.
Is that right?
I think.
How do I spell Badu? Oh, there we go. I got it.
Yeah. And it's Erykah with a Y, Y-A-H.
Yeah, I was all the way out on that one.
Weird or
anything. Who am I missing?
Is it Common?
We're looking here. We're trying to figure it out.
Dude, what's wrong with your wiki?
I don't know,
man. Big
man.
fingering the keys or what?
Okay, so she was with Common for a while. She also had Andre 3000 for a minute.
2 guys I'm huge fans of. Isn't that funny?
I do like Outkast a lot.
Back in my idiotic days, so basically like 04 to 03 to
just keep making that range wider.
03
whatever
to like
the hell
13.
it is.
I was a big Andre 3000 guy.
That's like the Outkast.
That's why I got into like bow ties.
You were into bow ties?
Yeah, I have probably 7, 8.
Oh man.
Still can't tie one. But I was a bow tie guy.
I have to see a picture of DB in a bow tie. Like I can't even imagine that.
That's not great.
It's hard enough to imagine you because like you don't dress up very often except for on like a broadcast.
You know what's fun? I'll tweet you a picture. I bet I have. I'm not kidding you.
Yeah.
I bet I have 17 suits.
Oh yeah, I've got that.
My dress shirts alone on my bottom row, it's crazy.
Which is funny because you don't wear them.
I used to wear them every day.
Well, yeah, because you were working in different jobs
every day.
Yeah, I have never worn suits every day, and I'm pushing 20. I just like suits. I like having suits. I like wearing suits.
Probably need to have a few retailored.
If I got a guy. We'll figure it out.
No, I got a great spot.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
All right. Mine's my mom.
Right,
my mom tailors all my suits.
Really?
Yeah.
My mom used to. Now she sends me right up the street.
She was a professional tailor for a long time.
Really?
My mom was. Yeah. That's how her and my dad met. My dad sold men's suits and she tailored them.
There's a joke in there, but I'm done.
Yeah, what are you going to do? Coming up next, we got Mike Sautter. He'll be joining us on the
I have no idea what that segment was.
I don't either. We were talking about the cartel, I think. Listen, it's not any more unhinged than most of our statements.
Yeah.
Here we
or
go.
Yours, anyway.
Well, whoa.
My bad.
We got Sautter coming up next year on Hurrdat Sports Radio. Kicking off hour number 3 here on Hurrdat Sports Radio, AM 590 ESPN Omaha, ESPN Tri-Cities, and KFOR in Lincoln for our third hour. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla. We're live on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube as well. Joining us now on the Warhorse Sportsbook Hotline is one Mike Sautter from Hurrdat Sports. What's going on, Sautter?
You know who that is?
What is he talking about? Uh-oh. Oh gosh.
That's his most impressive athletic accomplishment of all time is that photo.
You are out of your freaking mind.
Like,
there ain't no way. Vincent Edward Bo Jackson.
Yep.
One of, if not the greatest athlete ever of all time. Jim Thorpe, Bo Jackson.
You know why
two of the most opinionated people in America going head to head.
You know why you have to go to greatest athlete of all time? Because his actual accomplishments don't justify anything the way we talk about him.
He broke his hip. Like, if he wouldn't have, he broke his hip.
Yeah, and if Greg Oden would have stayed healthy and his legs were the same size. Like, what do you want me to do with the injury? I can't play ifs and buts and Candyland with you here.
Man, I'm sorry you weren't alive back then. But that dude was a bad
I'm
man.
not, because if all you had was 38 games of running backs to enjoy, then I'm not sorry I missed that.
Can I?
Although I could have been alive and I might have missed it just by blinking, so it's fine.
This dude,
see, you just couldn't let it ride.
No, I cannot let it ride. Listen, if he chooses violence, I'm choosing violence back.
Hey,
I might be Indian, but I'm not Gandhi. All right, no pacifism.
Hey, wow,
no pacifism on this one here. All right.
Hey.
As you can see, I'm not going on hunger strikes anytime soon.
But,
Shane,
it's okay.
I wasn't alive.
Nothing wrong with a Mahatma Gandhi reference at 9 o'clock on Friday. Put that on your bingo card.
I wasn't alive when Jim Thorpe was, doing his thing either. But I know that man was a bad dude. So, like,
we're just pretending like Jackie Robinson doesn't exist. We're just pretending like Kyler Murray wasn't a top 10 draft pick in both things. Like we're just pretending like we're pretending like Deion Sanders. No. Whoa. Listen. Kyler Murray only has 38 fewer career games in Major League Baseball than Bo has in the NFL. So the comparison's not as crazy as you think. We're just going to pretend like Deion Sanders isn't the best cover corner of all time and had a better baseball career than Bo Jackson, right? The thing you're obsessed with is the thing that could have happened but didn't. That's what you're obsessed with.
Hey, Mike, how are your daughters?
Your daughter feeling all right? She feeling better? She doing okay?
A little better this morning. We're not at the 102 temp.
So which one?
Leighton, the oldest one. Well, Lily had croup like all week, so she has been home all week. Went to school.
So that high temp sick thing has ripped through houses.
Yeah, it's smoking our house right now. So we're back down to about 99.1 or something this morning. Still not going to school and missing the like mom prom grandma thing tonight. Whatever kid damn. I wasn't invited, so I don't know whatever that is. So my kid decided that you can invite one adult to like the whatever they want to call it, the dance thing, elementary school dance deal. And grandma got the invite. Dad did not get the invite. So that tells you where I am.
So let me ask you something, because this kind of flew under the radar, and I think people just roll their eyes at the NCAA. But were you like, of all the things that they could put the kibosh on, was the photo shoot and like decorating of lobbies and taking pictures? Didn't that strike you as odd? Like, what do you what was the catalyst for that? Were people just doing too much on visits or what?
Well, I think it was probably just all the fakeness that came with it. Like, oh, show up here, come to campus, and then it's like, and then assistant coach who probably has an in with somebody somewhere is like getting the student intern photographer person to like take a photo, and then that kid uses it as clout. It was all just clout chasing. So they probably just were sick of the clout chasing, is what I'm guessing.
God, it's just interesting. There's so many other things and how are you supposed to enforce that? Like, are they just going to make sure that you like don't send out pictures or?
Yeah, I don't know how because they said you could do it if like, I could take it if I brought my own camera or whatever, I could take a photo if I'm a parent or something, or my phone or whatever. So it's weird. It's pretty dumb to like, if you think about it, like, let's figure something else out. How about like, I don't know, get a handle on NIL stuff or something, which will never happen probably. But.
So we're coming off a year in 2024 with a ton of in-state guys. It was highly competitive in terms of rankings. Will it be more or less difficult with 2025?
Well, I think it's clear, a little more clear at the top in 25 with Christian. Like, I don't think there's like, I mean, he's the highest rated guy. Everybody loves him on national ranking stuff. I mean,
you seem like you disagree.
I don't know if I disagree. Well, he's ours.
Sure. Yeah.
Right.
So I'm happy about that. But I mean, Tyson is really, really good.
But Tyson doesn't do the whole camp thing and never has and doesn't need to and doesn't want to. So he won't get the national
yeah.
He won't get the recruiting
I can
service
see that.
away.
So let me ask you this, maybe not from a ratings deal like stars, but like when you look at high school productivity, still a little more separation, or is crowded at the top potentially?
No, it's more. I mean, Tyson Terry's started both sides of the ball, can play center, guard, tackle, everywhere on the offensive line, can play can play everywhere on the defensive line. If he was a nose, you'd be okay with that. If he was a 3-tech, 5, whatever, you'd be okay with him playing anywhere up front. So,
I mean, you got like, Mooberry, Vermont, Lofton, Cotton. I mean, there's a ton of dudes.
There is a ton. I'm a
ton of dudes.
I'm a big Pierce Mooberry fan, like a big one. I think he is the most talented player on
Looks
that
like
team.
he's starting to grow a little bit too. I know hoops keeps him down a little, but you could see where his size could be a thing.
He's dunking stuff right now too. So,
I mean, he's
he's a 6'5" athletic kid. That's what they should be doing.
Yeah, I never got, never mind. I'm not even going to go off.
No,
but like at a certain height, like that's not very impressive. With Mooberry, because he can high point a ball.
Yeah.
His ball skills he's unbelievable.
Are really, and you didn't.
So I don't mind that with the Pierce reference, and I'm a little biased because
you don't see it a ton.
I like you, but
you didn't see it a ton because of the offense and things like that. But he low key has really, really good ball skills.
He was mossing a couple of our guys as a sophomore.
Probably going to end up on defense, I would guess. But like his ball skills are really good. I don't
know.
He'd be outside linebacker.
Man, maybe. I mean, sure, I guess
he's a super talented dude. I've been high on Mooberry for a couple of years. You know that
he dealt us.
I'm interested to see what he looks like with Burrell.
He ended up kind of getting hurt with us, but he can.
He gave people some problems.
No, he's legit.
I was watching. I think it was Papua and La Vista when they played early. Illinois
he had like 38 tackles,
and he was just hammering dudes.
Yeah,
like he was a chaotic hammer. In that deep, like he is, I am a huge Pierce Mooberry guy.
So you're saying So you're saying that
Don't
anyway,
do
I
this.
want to go back to like
Don't do this.
6'6" guys that are athletic that should be able to dunk a basketball. We shouldn't make a big deal with like googly eye emojis on Twitter about it.
I'm not taking the bait. You're a child.
I'm asking the question. It's a question.
You're not gonna get me. Let's talk about districts.
I can't ask a question.
Listen, if you like googly eyes, then do the googly eyes.
No, I'm saying like so it's
no,
6'5".
I would not do the googly eyes.
So 6'5" athletic guys, and they just dunk a basketball, which is like should be expected. We shouldn't like freak out over. Is all I'm saying.
I mean, it depends on the kind of dunk.
Regular two-hand dunk.
Okay, well, yeah, probably not googly eye worthy.
You're a child, Sautter. Where are you at for districts tonight?
It's a great question. If I'm alive by then or still. Thinking Millard North Central or Papio or Lincoln Northeast, Papio South, the girls' district finals.
Yeah. So would it surprise you if there's some tough district seedings? And let me make sure I have this right. So A1 through A7, they seed the ones They seed the ones wild card points. Do they go backwards 7 through 1 for the twos?
No, it snakes back. So, for example, Kearney got the 7 seed. So Gretna was the 8.
So they do go backwards because Gretna's in A7.
Yeah, so Gretna's the 2 seed in 7 because they were the 8th overall.
We had this discussion. We had this discussion in our house, and I have to be careful because obviously when you're potentially play against teams, you don't want to. We're not gassing the fire. I'm shocked that Gretna is in such a tough district because when I look at their capability versus some teams that have some higher seeds, I don't know, man. That's a brutal 2 to have to play.
Yeah,
that's a really, really good number 2 seed.
Congratulations, Kearney. You get a hosted
district. That's tough.
Like it's real tough. I wouldn't want to play Gretna. I said this when it kind of looked like they were going to end up being a 2 somewhere. That's the last 2 seed that you want to play.
I wanted to make sure I understood that, right? So it works backwards. Yeah. The ones are ranked 1 through 7. The 2s are ranked 7 through 1.
Which just goes
7 back through 1. So A7. So the best 2 is in A7. Yeah.
The best 2 plays the worst 1.
The next best 2 is in A6.
Because you're trying to reward the best 1 by not having them.
I just wanted to make sure. You'd think I would know, but I'm like,
no, I mean it's a fair question.
How is Gretna in A7?
Yeah, it's like a snake draft.
Yeah, no, I get it.
Yeah.
I get it. So that was a very interesting conversation in our household. I have one guy that is a lot more loose with his thoughts than the other one. And
I could imagine. I think I know which
one. Weird. It's the one that's not actually playing. Yeah, so it turned into a very. I'm like, guys, go finish watching Northwestern. Okay, they have sweet uniforms on tonight. Go check out Boo Booey.
Michigan held with them for a minute.
Yeah, I like Northwestern's staff. I did not know McClintock and those guys, and my guy from Penn State that was going for buckets in like 11. It was on staff at Northwestern. I just keep winning, right? It's good. It's good for. Now I'm over the whole comparison thing for the metrics, but what I thought we looked at the girls brackets too, the ladies, and A5 was the most difficult with Millard North and Central.
Yeah, that or Papio South Northeast, just because it's the 7 and 8, seeded teams. I guess.
Yeah, so theoretically, it should be the most difficult, right?
But Pius in Southeast, Pius doesn't have a ton of size. That one could be interesting. All these are tonight, by the way.
Yeah.
North Star Marion is one. North Star, Taverdi's a great coach, but I do think, for me, it's either going to be Millard. I'm either going to go to Millard North, which is Central, which Nia, she could go off for 30.
Yeah, Severe called yesterday or 2 days ago. He's a big fan.
Yeah, so it's one of, I mean, but Miller North does run like 17 girls out there and just can.
Well, he only has to play if he wants to one senior.
Right, like it, but they're deep. I was gonna cuss. They're really deep, and I just don't think Central has the depth to keep up with them. But with that pressure, Nia, if she's able to break it, she could just get run out. Like they could just be run out. That could be a ping pong ball game. So, but I do think Miller North's probably better. But I need to see Danila from Lincoln Northeast play. I think.
Yep.
Just because
watched her in the doubleheader. This was some months ago, but very talented.
Yeah, she rebounds everything. So the last time I saw her actually was in South Carolina. The girls were following up AAU basketball, so like girls were following boys stuff, and I was there for an extra day, and I stayed and watched her for a little bit. She can rebound everything.
How would you slot C1 in boys? Because I feel like we have this conversation every year. I don't know if it's just the class or it's just this run of teams, but it's kind of dicey again. And I feel like I say that every year about C1 in some sport.
Yeah, well, you have Auburn's pretty good. And I'm not sure that people understand how good they are. I think Auburn's very good.
It seems like Maverick officially has the green light now. You know, it's weird in that offense.
Yeah, no, they're scoring. So Auburn, when I was down there, Auburn's scoring. I went down there and watched them play Lincoln Lutheran. Auburn's scoring like 68, 65.
It's way up. That's why I said that.
Mm-hmm.
Like they're scoring a ton, and he's getting shots, and he's been a 4-year starter now for them. Good player, and Jim Weeks. As long as Jim Weeks is still the coach there, they're going to be good. Because they may or may not practice all year round. I don't know. But Concordia is good. Ashland Greenwood's good. Sydney, I think, is a little sneaky. Wahoo obviously is good. So
I'm always scared to back Wahoo because I feel like they take the air out of my sails. But I like the community. You know what I mean? It's like, I want to.
Well,
Don't tease me.
They were probably more talented last year than they are this year. But I don't know, Marcus Glock, if he gets any sort of space, it's going up and likely going in. That's what he did Tuesday night against Newman. And I don't know, then you have Donovan Trumbull sitting out there. C1 is way more competitive, way better than Class B. Let me just tell you, like it's way better.
Mike, is there a gap between Auburn and like the Concordia?
I don't think so.
No.
The Ashland Greenwood you're talking about, or they're pretty tightly clumped, even though Auburn's undefeated.
Yeah, I honestly I could see one of 6 teams, 7.
Oh, wow.
Maybe
okay.
In C1 win it.
So
I think Donovan Trumbull's pretty good too.
Okay.
Like,
let me ask. You don't have to name them because I mean parents get mad and fan bases get mad, but even coaches, realistically, how many teams could you see winning a state title in Class A? I have
3.
Northwest side, is that your third, Mike?
I lost you there, but I'll just answer the question. Bellevue West, Millard Northwest side.
And what's your fourth? Gretna?
Yes.
Well,
why not Gretna?
Depth.
I get it.
They're way good. I mean, I'm not. Here we go. Now people are going to say I'm bashing Gretna or whatever, which is not the case. They need more depth. They do. But those 5 seniors are.
Yeah,
tremendous.
but the only team that I would say that you meant the aforementioned that has what I would call depth is Bellevue West. Millard North's bench is relatively short. West Side's is short, as is Gretna's.
Gretna has like 5.5 players.
You didn't have to be specific.
I just saying. Like they're like 5.5 players.
DB here for diplomacy. Mike Sautter here for killing me.
Am I wrong? I'm not wrong. So like, I don't know. But their starting five is really good. All seniors. We know about all of them. Like, it's not a surprise, but Bellevue West is playing the best right now. They just are.
Okay. I'll go with that because they win.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Okay. No, okay. They've won. They have the longest winning streak.
Yeah.
Okay.
There we go.
Because there were a couple of those games down the stretch where I was like, but Bellevue West could be one of those teams where, and this is hard as a coach, because you kind of have been there.
It's like just waiting to get to the playoffs.
Yes, keeping them dialed in every night because they're used to being there at the end.
Right.
Like I could see them, and they're playing with, and I hate the term, but they actually are because they're the 1 seed. They don't even have to win their district.
Yeah, they're playing with house money.
It's truly house money.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not and I mean they likely won't lose their district. I mean, they won't lose. They shouldn't lose their district. North Star, Westview. I don't think. I mean,
fair.
Yeah.
Mike, you kind of glossed over Class B a little bit. Said it wasn't that interesting. Like, get into that a little bit for me.
Well, there's 9 teams with a winning record in Class B total. So
yeah, it's tough. Yeah.
Right. I get that maybe nobody's that good, but like that could make an interesting tournament, right?
Crete's the best team.
And experience too.
I mean, even though they lost Ehlers, their best player, to a knee injury, they're still the best team.
Okay.
So
and remember,
it is in B. It'll be Crete, Norris, Scott, kind of everybody else. Like Roncalli got the 6th seed, like the overall 6th seed as far as district finals are concerned. Roncalli just lost to Scott last night by, I was there, 30, 28, 25, something. So
not the most riveting basketball game, you're telling me?
The gap is just really far from like the top 3-ish. The gap's real far.
Okay.
Let me get you out of here on this, Michael Jerome. Are you expecting your coach in New York to be the head coach after 2024?
Big Bob Sala. Yeah, when they win the Super Bowl this year, I do expect him in 2020 and 2025. I expect him to be the coach, because we're going to get like Mike Evans and some sort of offensive line to block.
I hate to break it to you, Mike Evans is going to the Chiefs.
Well, they can't sign Evans and
Chris Jones.
Yeah,
there's no way.
Well, they might, but I don't know. Would he be at the top of their wide receiver want list?
Who else out there that they would want?
I just said it Tuesday. Now I'm skipping. Now I'm missing his. I'm forgetting his name.
Hey, all I know is
Calvin Ridley.
Oh yeah, okay.
Oh yeah.
I would take Ridley over Mike Evans.
I would too.
How much does Mike Evans?
Although Mike Evans is probably the most under. No, he's legit.
He's pretty good.
And people, I did what I'm accusing people of. I kind of poo-pooed him. Evans is legit. I think you're going to get more games out of Ridley.
Fair. Okay, fair.
Is Devontae Adams available? No.
Oh, MGZ. Off the hazy. It is woo-wee. And they call him D. And people made a big deal about Pierce's comments about Mahomes rules. Cut it out. He's just talking.
Yep.
It's not a bounty on the guy. You know about Jordan rules? Stop.
All right, Mike.
So I won't see you tonight.
Why not? Where are you gonna be?
I don't know.
Oh, I don't know.
Wherever it is, I can go out and recruit. That's what I do.
You gotta go recruit. That's what he does. That's Mike Sautter from Hurrdat Sports. He'll be out and about all over the metro tonight. That's our guy. We appreciate you, Mike.
See you guys.
Vincent Bo Jackson.
Cool. Good talk. Welcome back to Hurrdat Sports Radio here on AM 590, ESPN Omaha, ESPN Tri-Cities, as well as KFOR in Lincoln. I'm Ravi Lulla. That's DB. We're live on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube as well, where we're having a pretty extensive conversation about bow ties for some reason.
Probably because of Bo Jackson.
Oh, stop it.
I mean,
just think
we
how almost were in the clear.
Just think of how awesome it would be if him and Tom Brady was on the same team, and he had like LT.
I'll be honest, Shane, I don't know what you're talking about.
Reggie.
You started talking. No.
I'm just saying, like, if you put all the greatest together, I mean, Bo Jackson just fits right in there with Tom Brady and Lawrence Taylor and
so
Reggie White.
The thing you're taking up time with on the show right now is, wouldn't it have been cool if all the great players played together?
Yeah,
that's what's happening right now.
I mean, Bo just fits right in there naturally.
Yeah, for about 15 minutes before his hip falls off and he has to go pretend to play baseball for a minute. All right.
I just want to see Carolina and Virginia tomorrow.
It's time for the Warhorse Sportsbook Sports Cleanup.
Although I have districts tomorrow.
Yeah, you got a lot of stuff going on tomorrow. I know. Do you need me to stay home, watch the game for you so I can tell you what's going on?
Nope. I have this thing called a library.
I'm just going to text you, be like, hey, score.
I can't believe
did you ever used to do that?
What?
Like back in the day before you could watch stuff on your phone or whatever, be like, and your buddy was at home and you had to be somewhere, be like, hey, text me scores. I need to know what's going on.
Yeah, but see, so people don't like me when it comes to stuff like that, because what I do, like if you ask me the score.
To keep you posted.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hey, keep me posted on the score. Once I tell you the original score, like if I say, hey, 34-31 Central over West Side. From there on out, if I'm at the game watching, I'm giving you plus or minus.
Oh, okay.
+7, -6.
From the original that you get.
From the original score.
Okay, that's fair. That makes sense.
That's not for everybody, I've learned.
I'd probably have to get used to it, but
because occasionally, and I'll even sometimes give you time. But I'm not going to keep typing the same thing over and over because you get the point.
Time is crucial. I need the time.
Yeah.
I can live with the plus minus if you give me the time.
Yeah. Hey, we're +8.
Yeah.
4 to go.
I can do that. I can live with that.
Cool with that?
I think people, it's easy to forget now because we have access to pretty much everything now. But that was a thing where if you were out somewhere and you wanted to know what was going on, either you told your buddy, hey, I'm DVRing it if it was in the time of DVR, or taping it. Don't tell me what happened, because I used to tape games. I used to tape games all the time, mostly because I like to rewatch them, but sometimes because I was going to miss it. Or you'd be like, hey, can you call me, text me, whatever. I want to know what's going on.
I know you're going to say welcome to 2023 at the time. I know it's 2024 now, but
yeah.
You know where I realized there's a big bank of games?
Where?
I hate to even say this, but
YouTube.
Yeah. Like in their entire shut up, Shane. Like in their entirety, though.
I've gone back and watched pretty much the entirety of
boxing is the same. Like I didn't think boxing. I didn't think YouTube was like that.
You didn't used to be able to. Like early YouTube, first of all, there were time limits on how long the videos could be. That's not the case anymore. And then there was a lot of copyright stuff. A lot of the leagues have kind of punted on the copyright stuff because they realize that the traction they get and the publicity they get from having their stuff on there is greater than whatever the copyright cost is. And so they let it happen now. Movies, there's still some on there, but movies is where you'll still get copyright issues on some of the stuff. But I went back a couple, this was, I think, 2020, 2021. I went back and watched every game, almost every game. Not quite all of them are on there, but 94, 95, 97. I went back and watched all of them.
Oh, football?
Yeah, for Nebraska. It's all on there. It's just out there.
I mean, you can watch old stuff too.
Yeah, you can
probably go back and watch Bo Jackson games.
Yeah, but you wouldn't have to take a lot of time to do that because there's not that many of them.
All right.
You could get done. You could get through that quicker than DB got through Reacher.
Are we going to really act like though that the NCAA did the right thing with talking? Did you saw Petitti's comments on Monday, right? Or Tuesday?
Yeah.
About going to 14, and we haven't done 12.
Yeah, listen.
Why does everything have to be so emotional?
Because I don't know. I'm an emotional guy. I get invested in things. So we were on sort of not opposite sides, but you were much more hesitant about expansion in the first place than I was.
I was anti-expanding
until you figured stuff out, right?
Yeah.
You were more on, hey, let's make sure everybody's following the same rules.
I'd like a little more uniformity before we invite more people to the party.
Which I can agree with. I'm okay with that, right? Where it came off, and I misunderstood your argument at first, so I'm owning that, was it came off to me like you were anti-expansion. You were anti-chaotic expansion.
Yeah.
Fair? I am on that page now because this is a reckless money grab, and I'm pro-expansion. I am very pro-expansion of the playoff. I wanted 16. I wanted 16 the whole time.
Which is dumb, but fine.
Whatever. But
it makes no sense. There aren't 16 gosh darn teams. Stop. Don't get me started.
Are there 68 good teams in NCAA basketball?
It's different. Do you know why it's different? Because in basketball with rigor, we've seen Ravi, Lulla.
Yep.
We've seen
That's my name.
double-digit seeds make runs.
Yeah.
We have. You cannot name me a stretch in college football where an underdog has gone on the road and won 3 consecutive weeks against a better ranked opponent. It's just not going to happen in football.
And that's fair.
It's not.
How often has that opportunity even arose?
Okay, you're that guy.
I am. I'm an opportunity guy.
But
I am that guy.
Do you know what else?
Let's hear it.
College football very rarely,
Mm-hmm.
very, very rarely gets the best team wrong. You don't hear
Fair.
they just got hot
Fair.
like you do in basketball.
The NCAA tournament often gets the best team wrong.
So, no, I won't even say that until as of late.
More often gets the
late. It
Yes.
used to be,
But
I felt like it was pretty good.
here's the thing. It's still my favorite event of the year.
No, that's cool. Again, I'm not knocking the entertainment value.
Yeah.
Because that's why people gravitate towards March Madness.
Absolutely.
It's chaos, man.
It's the most fun.
Yeah, but guess what you want in the Elite Eight and the Final Four?
You want the blue bloods.
You want blue bloods.
You want the good. You want the best teams playing.
And I've heard people have been saying this for 30 years since it went from 32 to 64 to 68.
Which I deeply believe is exactly what you would get in college football.
Now, and I will say this, unless you just want to be entertained watching college football, you cannot legitimately make the argument that it is better for the game. It's not.
That's fair. I'm not going to argue that.
It's not.
I'm not going to argue
And
that. It's a better television product.
And
with 16.
I hate the hypocrisy.
Mm-hmm.
So okay, and I feel like Bo Jackson here. You're going to limit practice hours.
Mm-hmm.
You're gonna limit time that I can instruct and be on the field and call it a safety issue.
I mean, I'm not going to.
You're
but I
going
understand
to
what you're saying.
legislate these hits
Mm-hmm.
out of the game and call it a safety
But now you're going to ask
issue.
them to play 17.
But now
game
you're
season.
gonna say, hey, listen though,
Yeah.
for the right price, you can play a lot longer
Yeah, you can play
and
17
play
games.
more games.
Whatever, 16, 17.
Are we cool?
No,
sure.
It's hypocrisy. I
And,
agree.
and don't give me the D2, D3 argument. Well, they do it all the time. And you know what? I will say this. It's fine. They've managed it with their semesters. But guess what? The same 4 usual suspects are always at the end of all those brackets, whether it's Mount Union, whether it's Whitewater, whether it's NDSU, whether
Sure.
it's SDSU. The same usual suspects are there at the end of the day. Now, will there be more balance in college football and will there be more seats at the table? Cool. Doesn't necessarily mean that there's going to be more teams that can win it. So if you tell me, hey, this is strictly for entertainment value, not because we want to find the best team, okay, I can't debate that. That's preference. I like hash browns. You may like mashed potatoes. That's fine. I'm a
hash brown guy, but I get what you're
whatever,
saying.
right?
No,
I'm not.
It's
I'm,
personal preference. I think 16 is more fun. That's my only argument.
That's
my only argument.
The goal of the playoffs for me in college football is to find the best team. That's what I want.
I think
that's what I want.
And that's fair.
So you feel like Bo Jackson around the corner right now, just breaking a 58-yarder?
If that's what I'm just ignoring him. If that's what you want, I don't have an argument against it.
But so
I
now
don't.
look what happened. So now you're watching 2 conferences just flex the heck out of their muscle.
Yep. We're going to end up with basically a 48-team league before this is over.
So why'd we work backwards? We couldn't even get to an 8 or 9 game. That's all I asked.
And I agree.
That's all I asked.
I think everybody should be playing within the same parameters.
Because you had conferences at each other's throats because they couldn't understand whether you wanted 8 average teams and 2 good ones, whether you wanted to be like the Big Ten and have parity reign supreme. You want the bottom to have every good as opportunity. Until you figured out all that stuff, it was gonna be chaos, and now it's even worse because we couldn't even establish a dress code. Now anybody gets to come.
Yeah, that's fair. All of those things are fair. I will say, my only argument for expansion, I think it's more fun.
Yeah.
I do think they should have figured their stuff out before.
Yeah, now it's back.
And now we're in a bad way.
Yeah.
Now we're in a weird spot, and they're going to have to work backwards. I mean, hey, kind of like they did with NIL, right? Just take the reins off, and here we go. We're wrapping up the show here on a Friday here on Hurrdat Sports Radio, AM 590, ESPN Omaha, ESPN Tri-Cities, and KFOR in Lincoln. I'm Ravi, Lulla, DB here with me. Want to remind you that it's time for you to get ready for a game-changing experience. Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill, Omaha's premier sports bar, is now hiring at the La Vista and Gretna locations. If you haven't heard, it's more than just a sports bar. From the elevated pub fare and handcrafted pizzas to diverse range of craft spirits and classic cocktails, live events and shows, there's something for everybody. Currently hiring for all positions, so join the team today and be part of the excitement. Visit in person between February 26th and March 1st, 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. at the Gretna location for on-the-spot interviews and hiring, or you can visit hurrdatsportsbar.com/careers to apply. Make every game day unforgettable at Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill, where sports, food, fun, and live entertainment all come together. We will be joined by Matt Vrzal here in just a minute. As we wrap up the Friday show.
He wanted 2 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, so
2 minutes.
I don't actually think we're that far apart on what we want out of this college football playoff thing, because I agree they needed to get their ducks in a row before they started expanding, and they really didn't do that. They're sort of just like, hey, this seems like a great idea.
So now instead of the 6 we get to argue about 12, and then that'll be for a year, and then
it'll be 14.
We'll argue about 14.
Yeah, and
I mean,
I thought it made the most sense if you were going to expand from 4, just because it's going to end up at 16. It is.
I just don't. I guess I just don't love the bullying of the position, right? Because it just seems like double talk. You want to flex capitalism, but yet it sends. Not to get too deep, it just sends mixed messages.
Would you feel better about it if they just openly said, hey, there's way too much money on the table here for us not to do this. We're going to keep expanding.
Yeah, at least you would leave it to me to
decide whether
I could handle it or not, right? Just don't pee on my shoes and tell me it's raining.
Yeah, and I mean that's kind of what the NCAA has always done, though, right? They're like,
I mean, not as blatant. So you look haphazard,
okay,
when you didn't even give the dozen eggs a chance to settle before you want to crack two more.
That's one of the more ridiculous
processes. That comes across as like you didn't really
think it through.
Yeah.
Oh, I 100% agree there. No denying that.
That's all. But I also don't need my pound of flesh. If you want to watch a couple of teams play, sacrifice their guys and know that they're not going to win a championship for the sake of entertainment, that's cool. Maybe that's the one-off to regulate guys playing in bowl games.
Sure.
Because maybe if they're playing in meaningful games, they'll play, but
probably more. I mean, you're gonna have more guys that play a playoff game.
We'll see.
I think that you would in a bowl game.
You think the 16th seed getting a chance to make or the 14th seed?
Maybe, I don't know.
That has the number 2 rated wide receiver is going to, make a run at these next 4 games?
I mean, it's a fair question. I don't know.
Maybe Matt will know.
Do we have him?
Oh, we have him?
Yep.
Are you producing?
Yep.
Thanks for letting us know.
Thanks for letting us know.
We've got Matt Vrzal here on the Warhorse Sportsbook Hotline. Verz, how are you this morning?
Well, I am all right, fellas. I have a bone to pick with Ravi, but we can get to that when we need to.
Let's just start off. Let's do it.
Wait. Am I in this at all? Because I can
might be.
Okay. All right. Go ahead.
Let's do it.
Do your thing.
So, a bald, spectacled man was in Paisans last night. And all due respect, I don't listen to the show. I don't have time to listen to things.
Okay.
But he told me that you said that one Bo Jackson was overrated.
Oh, God.
Did he provide much context there or no?
He did. He said your argument was that he only played 4 years of professional football.
So here's let me paint a picture for you here, Verse. So we were having a conversation.
You better be a Picasso.
I mean, if it's Picasso, you're not even going to recognize it. Fair.
Only because I've been here.
So we had a call yesterday, text something that included Bo Jackson as one of the greatest running backs of all time. I took exception to that because while I consider him a very great athlete, one of the best athletes of all time, his NFL career accomplishments, I don't think justify putting him in the greatest running back of all time conversation. Is he a total freak of nature? Absolutely. Not denying that. But when you look at what his NFL career actually was, I find it a really tough sell to put him in that conversation. Thus, overrated. Not bad, but overrated in the way people think of him versus what his career actually was. That was the context.
So a guy that averaged 6.8, 4.3, 5.5, 5.6 per run, but every time he touched the ball, you were in for 7 yards. You're not in on that.
I'm not talking.
Had it not been for a broken hip, which I understand that happened, then you wouldn't know any of these other dudes.
Listen, okay, go ahead.
Like, just what did we pull any film of this before we made this grandiose statement?
I have seen a lot of film on Bo Jackson. Yes, I have.
Because I know Damon Benning is a big Emmitt Smith guy, so I didn't know if you're in that camp.
There you go. See,
no, listen.
What, you just want to make sure I was listening?
You just want to make sure you were included.
Here it is. I know you're new. I know you're new to this line of work. So
well,
it's only his second week. He hasn't been in it long.
Wow.
Here's my thing, Verse.
Hello, friends.
I understand that when he was playing.
Who's your favorite running back?
My favorite running back is Barry Sanders.
That's fair.
I'm a Barry Sanders guy.
Who's your number two?
I'm actually I'm higher on, I think, Walter Payton than DB is. I really like Walter Payton. If we're just like a person,
hates Walter Payton.
That's a lie. Stop it.
If we're going on guys that I just kind of have an irrational like for, and I'm not saying he's better than some of these other guys. I really loved Marshall Faulk. I really, really loved him on those Rams teams.
You're one hip injury away from possibly witnessing the greatest human being to ever play football.
I understand that, but you just said my exact point. Possibly. We're living in what ifs on Bo Jackson.
I understand the ludicrous nature of your statement, but
I'm not going to live in what ifs when I'm talking about the greatest of all time.
Are you here for the slander?
That dude was a legit, But anyway, you got any questions?
Yeah, I did. So did it at least move your needle to see Drew pumping last night for Grand Canyon? I don't know. I just know we know him as a person, the family, just to see him kind of look healthy and competing, man. I was pretty pumped to see DC do his thing last night on the bump.
Super happy for him. It just a mental hurdle, right? And if you look at the grand scheme of it, if he does not have a good Thursday start, your weekend becomes a long weekend.
Yeah.
Because now you're going to have to go Friday, Saturday, Sunday with guys getting major innings, so they can't have a bad day. Great to see it. It just so much of baseball is mental. In any other phase of life, if you go 3 for 10, you're fired.
Mm-hmm.
In baseball, you're an all-star. So, it's the best game to deal with just mental toughness. And it was great to see him, got in a couple spots, got out of a couple spots.
Mm-hmm.
I was just super happy for everybody involved, for him and his family and the team and all of it. So it was just real cool.
Hey, on a larger note, when you're kind of looking at do you think this thing with the athletics and the way that Nebraska wants to compete is contagious with the athletic department, regardless of sport? Can you kind of see a way that these teams want to play that you think has a lot to do with the athletic department as a whole? Is that finally happening?
Success will always breed success. Look at how spoiled we were when we were there. Volleyball was good. Wrestling was good. Track was good.
Yeah.
Baseball was good.
Yeah.
We were good. Gymnastics was good. Like, nobody wants to be the reason that you suck, right? Nobody wants to be the team's like, oh, you're just the tag along. Like, you're men's basketball was good. Women's basketball was good, right?
Yep.
So nobody wanted to be that guy. Like, your sport, you're here, I guess. Good job. But no, it will always, success is always contagious.
It was just weird because I think people kind of gave Byrne a hard time about wanting to, like, the president, like that, all the sports being good, mattering to him. You know what I mean?
That probably, along with when they got eliminating him, was probably one of the dumbest moves in the history of the university.
Wow.
Because that guy was, listen, you didn't have to like him. And he stood up to the big redhead and said, you coach the football, I'll make the money. How about that? Because at the end of the day, my name is on the check. So, and that didn't happen a lot for that guy. And at first, he wasn't a real big fan of skyboxes coming in. And then all the money started coming in. Like, hey, this is all right. We got some budgeting stuff we can do here. This is pretty cool. So I don't think that's ever in the pantheon of everything that went down in Nebraska to get us to where we are today. I don't think that gets it. That dude had a vision and a mission. And if you were in the way, pretty quick, you were out of the way. You were getting on board or you were getting gone.
That's Matt Vrzal, former Husker owner of Pison's Pizzeria. That's all the time we got today, Verz. We appreciate it. As always, we'll talk to you next week.
See you, boys.
That's Matt Vrzal. That's the week.
Dang, hot take week.
I'll be honest, a lot of the topics from this week got away from us.
Yeah, well, I blame you.
It is my fault. We'll catch up next week. We'll try and get a little better. Still not going to think Bo Jackson's any better than he actually was.
Need Nebraska to beat Minnesota.
Let's do it. Let's get a win. Let's get some wins over the weekend for Nebraska, Creighton, more Husker baseball. We'll be back next week. That's DB. I'm Ravi. Lulla. This is Hurrdat Sports Radio.